Hi, and welcome to Graveyard Media Podcast, episode 16 for the week of October 30th, 2017. Uh, I'm your host, Saine Grey. With me is Thel and Dalsson together this week.
I'm standing in for Thel.
Thel couldn't make it with us, so we have this asshole instead.
Yeah, so we got Thel.
Okay, so we're gonna start off with what games we've been playing this week, and then head into games and movies we've seen this week, and then head into gaming and movie news.
Unfortunately, is not a lot, I would say.
Not too much, but
So normally on our podcast we have Thel start, but because he can't be here, we should let this guy start.
Okay. I ain't done shit straight up this week. I don't think I played a video game. I watched a movie on the train. I watched Blade Runner, the first one.
Am I hosting or are you hosting, Dalsson?
I believe I'm hosting.
Okay, because I'm dropping frames, but I never know.
Alright, then if he's hosting, then we're probably good. I don't know. I don't have anything to talk about straight up.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll move on.
Anything?
Yeah, I'll start with Suburbicon, because
Okay.
holy man, this is going to be kind of a trash fire, I think.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So, for those of you who don't know, Suburbicon is George Clooney's, I think, first director chair movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it stars Matt Damon. Oh, this movie was a mess.
Boy.
First of all, the trailer was incredibly misleading. And
Hold on a second. I haven't heard anything about this movie. I've heard like so little, which is really weird because like everyone's talking about how it was a huge flop and it was a huge problem. That might be part of the problem.
no, yeah, part of the problem is just, for one thing, George Clooney, Matt Damon, and the production studio couldn't agree on the genre.
Oh.
So,
I was about to ask, what kind of movie is it?
yeah, okay, so
apparently that's the question.
So, at its core, the main, I guess the plot of the movie revolves around kind of a murder mystery?
Question mark?
Kind of. Well, it's not, I mean, to the extent that it's a mystery is kind of questionable, okay?
Okay.
So, the premise of this movie is Matt Damon, and his wife and his kid are all taken captive. Oh, and his aunt. His aunt was there too. Are all taken captive by two like home invaders, and they chloroform each one of them. But after they like all wake up, you discover that Matt Damon's wife ends up dying because of this. But I mean, I don't think that anybody should see this movie, just straight up. Like,
Wow, that bad,
it is so bad. Okay, I don't think I've been. Okay, first of all, this is probably the worst movie I've seen this year,
Which is saying something. 'Cause you sound like a lot of that stuff.
and I don't think I've been this disappointed coming out of a movie since I saw Ratchet and Clank. Like,
Wow.
it is significant. It was significantly bad. So I'm not even gonna like worry too much about spoiling it, because I straight up
Who gives
feel
a
like
fuck?
you should not watch this movie.
Yeah.
So I guess if you don't want to see, or if you want to see Suburbicon, just kind of wait until I change the name in the now discussing, because it's I'm just gonna go through it. On YouTube, I think I'll put a timestamp to skip it or something. So pretty early on in the movie, it is revealed that, well, I guess revealed is a strong term. It's alluded to heavily that the people who actually killed the wife were Matt Damon, the main character, and the wife's
daughter.
Sister, so the aunt, the aunt of the boy.
Yeah.
The two like main characters of this movie are Matt Damon and the boy,
Okay.
and everyone else is kind of supporting.
All right.
So it's kind of like it's kind of discovered, or it's alluded to because the two people who killed the mom are arrested and put in a police lineup, and Matt Damon's character, who I don't even remember his name, but that's mostly on me because I'm just bad with names. Matt Damon's character and the aunt are brought into the like lineup room, and they're like, "No, I don't recognize anyone." But the boy sneaks into like the lineup and realizes that the two people are standing right fucking there. Like, it's obvious that they're there, and the two people are just like, no, I don't see them. And so the boy is like, what the fuck? So it's like it's not really like straight up announced that they know, but it's pretty clear that that's what's going on. As it progresses, you find out more that like the two of them, like the aunt and the guy, start getting together and like sleeping with each other. And then it's kind of like, then later on, a new character's introduced that is a insurance fraud investigator. So
sounds like a fucking mess.
I've not even gotten to the worst part yet. So it's kind of this sort of almost reverse murder mystery where you're following the murderers, basically, who are, like, as the movie progressed, shown to be less and less likable. Like, to the, like, and this is why the trailer was so misleading. The trailer, I don't know if this was supposed to be a twist or whatever, but the trailer makes you think that Matt Damon's character is like something, he's involved with a mob somehow, but he's like, his family is being attacked and his mom is, or the boy's mom is killed. Right. And he's like saying, okay, we gotta buckle down and like deal with these people, and like I'll protect you. And
it's not about that at all.
It kind of makes you think that that's what's happening. And then what actually happens is, like, they hired these people to kill people, or to kill the wife. Like, the whole thing was like, I don't know. Yeah, it was like the opposite.
It was like this weird racketeering thing that just went wrong.
Yeah, it was like straight up the opposite of what the trailer makes you think it's going to be. And the characters are made less and less likable as the movie goes on, to the extent where both the aunt and the Matt Damon's character, on two separate occasions, not even in concert with each other, talk about killing the kid. On top of everything. Like, and to top it off, you don't know this when watching the trailer, but the trailer reveals like a huge plot point. That, like, watching the trailer, it's like, it just looks normal, but watching the movie, I'm like, oh my god, they gave away the ending of the movie.
Holy shit.
So I'm just gonna, because we're already going straight into spoilers, I'm gonna just talk about it.
Do it. Man.
So
I ain't watching this shit.
This scene is also shown in this trailer, but it's a little bit less egregious. The aunt crushes up, I don't know, some like Tylenol or oxycodone or just some sort of drug, right? On a on the cutting board with a rolling pin, so makes a fine powder out of this medication, and then takes that powder and puts it on a peanut butter jelly sandwich and in milk. The next scene in the trailer is Matt Damon's character eating the sandwich.
Okay.
In the movie, she's trying to get the boy to eat the sandwich, but he just, like, won't come out of his room because he fucking knows this woman's trying to kill him. So she just kind of gives up and leaves it on the table, but before Matt Damon's character comes back, she's killed by a different character. The trailer straight up reveals that the way that the movie ends is because Matt Damon eats the sandwich.
And dies.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't show him die, but, like, it's obvious that he's going to die.
Right.
And so there's this big dramatic scene at the end where Matt Damon's character is sitting there eating the sandwich, talking about how he's going to kill the kid. Like, how the kid needs to either shut his mouth and not tell anyone what's been happening, or he's just gonna murder him. While eating a sandwich and drinking the milk that, in the trailer, they spoiled. Yeah, so it's supposed to be this big dramatic scene where, like, of dramatic irony, where you're sitting there going, oh shit, he's eating the sandwich. He's about to die. But in the trailer, it's like, you already knew that was gonna happen. Like, that was obvious.
That's the most ridiculous fucking thing.
So, like, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? On top of that, and this is where I think, like,
the movie, like, completely fell
this
apart.
is where the critics in particular, I swear, got slapped in the face while watching this movie.
Hmm.
There is a subplot. This isn't even like the plot of the movie. This is the subplot of the movie that has almost nothing to do with the main plot. They are living in this town called Suburbicon, which is obviously a suburban neighborhood outside of the city, like probably half an hour out of the city or something.
Yeah.
Nothing but cookie cutter homes, picket white fences, all the 9 yards of, like, the I don't know, 50s era nostalgia or whatever. And a black neighbors move in to one of the next door houses. And so over the course of this entire movie, there are neighbors that are talking about how awful it is that these black people moved into their neighborhood, how they're not racist, but these people should not live here. And like the whole time it was like this, in the background, slow buildup of these like basically a riot happening across, like, right behind the main character's house.
Why?
So the only explanation I can think of for that entire subplot was that at the peak of the movie, like during right before the climax, the subplot has gotten out of control. There are police in front of these people's houses, trying to hold back like an angry mob who like want to break in and destroy this black family's house, and so the only explanation I can think of for that whole thing even happening was that, or the only justification in the movie for like this even being there, is that they were making such a racket, there was such like attention drawn over there, there was no way that the police couldn't have known that Matt Damon's character killed the insurance claimant,
Right.
Moved his body into the back of a car and drove off, was later chased down by one of the people who they hired to kill his wife. The other person who they hired to kill his wife went in to kill the aunt and the kid. While the kid was being, while the second person was trying to kill the kid, the uncle, who is this supporting character throughout the whole movie, showed up, saved the kid, killed the dude, but ended up getting killed himself. While and they were gunshots, they were firing the gun. But in the background, there was like this whole thing where they were like making a lot of noise to like annoy the crap out of the black family, so they were like just being really loud so you couldn't hear the gunshots, I guess, in the other house. And so there's
you would still hear a gunshot.
Well, yes, but there were so many things happening that I could see, like, other people, like, it was the potential that other people had guns was not like a foregone conclusion with how crazy it was over there.
Right.
There was like literally rioting in front of these people's houses. So, and then kind of like at the beginning of the movie, the mother tells the son to go play with the black boy, so the black boy and the main character, or the main kid, are like friends, kind of. I mean, not really, but kind of.
I mean, that really doesn't have anything to do with the movie, though, right?
Like, no. And that's it's like, not really. And so this is why there was so much mixed messages coming out of the marketing, because George Clooney.
No one could fucking tell what the movie was gonna be.
George Clooney was suggesting that this was a social commentary, which, like, maybe it had a social commentary subplot that basically had nothing to do with the movie.
No, there was a movie that came out this year that I feel like was one of like the best movies as far as this particular subject goes. Fucking Get Out. Get Out was great.
Yeah, no, it was just like Get Out was just straight up better, and it was even like even Get Out. Even Get Out was kind of like weird in places about what they were actually trying to say with what they were saying, but
I felt like it was
It was I don't know, it was like murky enough that it was ambiguous enough that you could like talk about it, right? Whereas in this movie, this movie they were like, and there was even like they put a what's the South flag, the Confederate flag. Thank you. There even was a scene where one of the white people put a Confederate flag on the window of the black family. It was like it was ham-fisted. It was so in your face.
That is like insanely
it was so
ham-fisted.
like ridiculous, and none of that, like absolutely none of that subplot had anything to do with the movie. Like, so it's just like,
if like that's what the movie were about, it would be more forgivable.
No, that's what I was saying. Like, if the movie was about and more,
if that's what the movie was about, because,
or like, even if like their family is the one who discovered this, like this murder, or like the family was interacted with them in almost any way other than the son played baseball with him a couple times. Like, it's just like, and I guess that they were next door neighbors, but it was just like there were scenes where they were building a fence between the neighbors' yards and stuff.
It's not like the neighbor, the dad of the neighbors was out there grilling and shit, and he was like, "Holy shit, I think that guy's trying to kill his kid."
Yeah, I don't know.
That brings up a really good point. Maybe what would like work really well is like if the black family like discovered all of this murder stuff and was like trying to tell everyone, "Hey, this guy's a fucking murderer."
And everybody ignored them because they're racist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
That would have made it make more sense. Or even if all this stuff was happening, but while they were like being bombarded by like a crowd of people, if they still like discovered all this shit was happening in their neighbor's yard and they went over there, like, I don't know, they could have. It felt like they were two stories happening simultaneously that had nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, right.
What
it sounds like to me is that one day George Clooney went to the movie theater. He went and he sat down and watched Gone Girl, and he thought, this is a really good movie. There's a lot of great stuff going on here. What if I put a bunch of bullshit in it? What if I just loaded it down with bullshit? Just needless bullshit.
It seems like he was trying to say something, but he didn't know what it was. Like,
I want to say
something. There was nothing more than white people are bad.
Here's what I'm assuming. I think that maybe what George Clooney is trying to say, I feel like we're getting too general. I think maybe what he was trying to say is he hates his neighbors. Like, specifically, this is a movie about George Clooney. Yeah. This is a movie about George Clooney's neighbors who...
George Clooney killed his wife and son, slept with his wife's aunt, he hates his neighbors.
He's just sitting on his porch, His neighbors come out, "Hey, George." "Oh, hey there, Dale. What's going on?" He's sitting there, he's just thinking he probably fucking murdered his own wife. This fucking piece of shit is sleeping with her sister. I hate this bastard. I'll make a whole fucking movie about him.
Yeah, like, I don't know. So there's these weird threads where it's like, was the movie trying to say that, like I don't know. It seemed like the way that he went about, the way that the movie was like put together, it was like, are they saying that people in like suburban neighborhoods are intolerant? Or like, are they saying that, like, what are they saying? There was no clear.
That it was like an idyllic like 50s neighborhood. Was it like set in the 50s or like?
Yeah, it was set in the 50s.
Okay,
maybe not maybe it was more like the 60s. I don't really know. It
Oh,
was,
wait, 50s, 60s, and yeah, that's how
Yeah.
how that shit was back then. True enough.
It was before the
but-
70s, I'm pretty sure though. Like
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, that's
it was
that-
straight up
that-
like Leave It to Beaver Town, basically.
yeah,
So
but it's like, yeah, I understand. Maybe he just like felt like, if I'm going to set this movie in the 60s, I need to have this subplot. Like,
I don't think so. It seems like it was too intentional because it took up too much of the movie for it to be
Like a throw.
an afterthought. Yeah, it was not an afterthought. It felt like he was almost trying to make two movies at once. I don't know. Like there was no you want to talk about segregation, right? There's no integration of the plot threads here.
yeah,
Like I don't know. The movie was a mess. It was just awful.
that can be our like television critic pun. This is a movie about segregation, segregating one plot from another and connecting them. Not at all.
Yo, yeah, like
Great, yeah.
yeah. I don't know. Like it just
Oh, what the fuck?
and
What
it
is
was
this
bad. Like no, straight up, the trailer is a better movie than the movie.
Yeah.
Like
You guys can be Statler and Waldorf, and I will be Big Bird.
okay,
okay,
yeah, that's fair.
you could be grouchy or whatever.
You can be.
Don't start telling me about Sesame Street lore, Thel. Don't do it.
Hey, excuse me. That's not Sesame Street.
I'm okay as long as no one is Elmo.
The two critics.
The critic formerly known as Elmo.
The two critics were in the Muppets show.
Then I will be
Oh.
Miss Piggy.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. That's all I want to talk about Suburbicon. Other
glad.
than we'll talk about it more in the news section.
Yeah, because it
That's-
fucking made no
Should
money.
we just talk about that now? It
Yeah,
made
yes,
it
I
made
think
no
we-
money. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
And again, I hadn't even heard of it. Maybe like I'd seen the trailer, but it was like really generic, and I was just like, "Oh, this is a movie."
it wasn't generic though. It was a really stylish, interesting looking trailer to me. Like that's what was so
That's
weird
why
about
you
it.
saw it. right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw it because the trailer made it look really good, really interesting. It was like, oh, George Clooney's directing this. Like, this looks interesting. I don't
George
know,
Clooney is
like
debut.
debut.
It's weird. I actually like directorial debuts from like actors, right? It's weird because what is it? Man Who Was Man in Gone Girl had a bunch of really great directorial movies. Because like he
Ben
paid
Affleck?
attention to all this. Yeah, Ben Affleck. Thank you. Honestly, he's a better director than he is an actor. Like he had like
is.
shit like
I
Talent. He was
agree.
great. Yeah.
Also, the Get Out's director. That
Yeah,
was his
yeah,
first solo director debut. So
Yeah,
I
and it
forget
was
his name is.
and then you had people like George Clooney and Angelina Jolie who are almost like just actors get into it, and then they make movies that are shit.
Yeah, the thing is, like, George Clooney is a great actor, but
Yeah.
he is a terrible director, apparently.
Yeah. Well, and maybe it was just like directionally, maybe he's just like a terrible writer because like he created the story and didn't know what he was gonna do with it. He was just gonna fucking take a bunch of
Oh,
shit.
wait.
That he...
This wasn't even Clooney's debut. This was his 5th film as director.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Here, a critic for Vice called the film so bafflingly bad, so fundamentally ill-conceived, so wanting in basic tenets of tone and narrative, it almost feels like the work of a first-time director. And this is Clooney's fifth film as a director. So, like,
What the fuck were his other movies? Hold on, I'm gonna
I don't
IMDb
even know.
Uh,
yeah. Okay, so Suburbicon was one of the most dismal wide-release debuts in recent years. It received $2.8 million at the box office, which is a laughably small number, and its budget was $25 million and $10 million for it to be distributed, and probably more for its advertising. So it has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 26, which is not low enough in my opinion. Like,
here we go. So what he did is he directed some episodes of Unscripted, a movie called Good Night and Good Luck, Leatherheads, The Ides of March. I haven't heard of any of these. The Monuments Men, I have heard of, but that's just because it came out like in 2014, and I saw a trailer for it, and I was like, wow, this looks like a fucking Oscar bait movie. I don't give a shit. It had like Bill Murray and shit in it, and I was like, oh, that's neat, but it's whatever. So basically, he's directed trash.
I see.
Because like
So,
when the
now I
Monuments
know.
Men came out, it had a really really good trailer, and I was like, this is probably gonna get rave critical reviews, but I'm not gonna care. But then it came out, and I heard nothing about it, like not a single.
Yeah, so
thing.
now I guess I know that avoid George Clooney's movies.
Directorial work, yeah.
I
he's
don't know,
not
because
good.
wow.
This is another like to me like based on like the how the plot sounds. This sounds like another like The Girl on the Train last year's. Last year's Just Watch Fucking Gone Girl. This is this year's Just Watch Fucking Gone Girl. Just watch
I don't
fucking
know what
Gone
you would
Girl.
watch in place of this. Like, it's not even that similar to Gone Girl. Like, it's similar to nothing because it's so bad. Like,
I mean,
just watch any other movie. Go watch
just
Jigsaw.
watch Plan
Go watch
9
Jigsaw.
from Outer Space.
That's the thing. Like, I would rather someone go watch Jigsaw, the like
Yeah.
8th Saw movie or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Like,
then fucking this.
go watch Geostorm. That movie has like a 5 on Rotten Tomato, a 5% on
That,
Rotten
that
Tomato.
means
Like,
it's at least worth that. That's the price of admission. for that.
at least Geostorm, you can watch things blow up. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, if we're just gonna, it's like things you can watch in the theater. Just go fucking see Blade Runner again.
Yeah,
Go
I
see
don't
Blade
know.
Runner.
Like, the trailer made it look like kind of a dark comedy sort of thing. I don't know. It's just, do not see Suburbicon.
I see. If you want to watch dark comedy, go fucking watch Nice
Yeah,
Guys.
Go watch
more
Get
about-
Out. Like, if
Yeah,
you
go
wanna,
watch Get Out.
if you want to watch
watch
a horror
any
dark
fucking
comedy.
Yeah.
So if we're about done with Suburbicon, I
Yeah,
have
no.
one final closing thought.
Okay, go ahead.
You guys keep saying this name over and over again.
George Clooners.
Don't you mean George
George
Clooners?
Clooners?
George
Yeah.
Clooners? Yeah.
George Clooners.
George Clooners. Maybe
What
this
else?
was,
Don't you mean George Clooners?
maybe
Who gives
this
a
was
shit?
his biggest prank yet, to come out to prank a Paramount for its ninth worst movie in history.
Fuck.
Jesus.
Shit. Oh, did Paramount do Waterworld?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's definitely Paramount's worst modern movie release, but
At least
apparently
Water-
ninth
at
in
least
At
history.
least Waterworld had a plot.
Yeah, a plot. I mean, it's
Well,
also
this
got
had
that.
a plot. You just hated all of the characters. It had a subplot that was there for no reason, and the only character you liked at all in the whole movie was like maybe his uncle and the son. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's still though. It like I said, it had that cult thing going on. This like from the way you're describing it, it can't even get that. It's
It
not
won't.
bad enough.
It's no,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Well, no, because most cult classics are like at
Good.
least campy, right?
Or-
good,
Right.
yeah, like good or campy, or it has something going for it,
Or
like,
it's so incredibly bad that it's a fucking mystery.
yeah,
Yeah.
like. But this is just it's
Just studio bad, but really studio
it's like
bad.
mediocre. I don't know. It's less than mediocre. It's like actively bad, but not in a good way, because all of the acting is like decent. Like it's not like the lines are just ridiculous. It's like they played it straight, but it had nothing going on. The plot
It's the
drags
worst
this
kind
movie
of
down
bad
so
movie.
poorly.
Yeah, it's the worst kind of bad movie because, like, if you go into a bad movie, you almost expect everything to like look cheap and be kind of fun. It's like, oh, they held together that mask with like
Duct tape.
duct tape or glue or some bullshit like that. You go in, you watch them like that, and it's fun. It's fun to watch. Fucking like you go into a movie like this, and it's like it's another big Hollywood production, but it's just
Also, on top of it, it was kind of slow paced, so 2/3 of the movie dragged on.
So
weird.
it's boring.
Yeah, well, and
So
that's-
yeah,
yeah,
for a lot of it, it's just boring. Like the beginning, I'm willing to like get. I'm willing to let the beginning be slow because usually you want some good build up. But in the middle, it was also boring.
Yeah,
It wasn't
that's the
until
thing.
like the end that things actually like mattered at all. I don't know.
Yeah. And I keep talking about Gone Girl, but it's like if George Clooney was going to do like if that was a much better social commentary on suburban life, first off, and the
Sorry.
and the like the character Amy Rose in Gone Girl it was really nice because it
Amy
was
Rose,
very
the
much.
cute little pink hedgehog.
Is that Amy's?
That is her last name.
Amy Dunn in Gone Girl.
Can we move on? I want to.
Yeah,
Let's move on.
All right, but yeah, what I was trying to say is like, she's either likable, incredibly likable, or incredibly hateable, depending on what side you take. And there's no middle ground with her, and it sounds like tonally there was a lot of middle ground here that muddles the shit up so much that it's like, who gives a fuck?
I mean, there
right?
wasn't that much middle ground. You hated the main character, and you hated
Alright.
the aunt. Like,
Yeah,
and like even on among the likable character, the one likable character, the uncle, like he's the kind of person who could rub you the wrong way. He seems like
yeah,
crazy Thel.
yeah,
He seems like the crazy Thel. So I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, it's like Nick Dunn, you fucking hated too, because he was like fucking cheating on his wife and was an asshole. And then there was Margot, who was just the best character in the movie.
Don't make fun of him. He died for Jackass.
Anyway, so let's jump back into video games. I needed to get that movie off of my chest because that was like bad. But we'll jump back.
Man.
We'll jump back and forth between movies and video games because I still want to talk about Stranger Things.
Okay.
Which I've only watched 2 episodes so far, but
we
but
got
first,
like 5.
5. You were 5 in, yeah. Let's let's go to Destiny 2.
Okay, let's see.
Destiny 2
Dalsson and I played this a little bit.
is great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I love it. The gunplay feels so right. And just everything about the guns is like spot on perfect.
So yeah,
it
here's
doesn't feel like a slog to like grind.
Yeah.
It feels great.
and
That's
it's
one of the
challenging
things-
right from the beginning. Like
That's the other
one of the things I hate about like MMO like games is that a lot of times the beginning is like nothing is even remotely challenging, and sometimes it's like that for like half the game. And this, like, I died in the first like half hour or something, but mostly just because like
You fucked up.
I don't know. I didn't know. I don't know. It feels like enemies do a lot of damage, but you have the ability to dodge a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you have the opportunity. All of the enemy bullets have travel time. Yours don't necessarily have travel time, but all the enemy bullets do, so you can dodge. You can
I would
dodge.
say most of your weapons don't have travel time, and most of their weapons do.
Right.
There might be some weapons that don't, but we haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't put much time into the game. So far, I like all the weapons, there's a good variety of weapons too. Like even among the same kinds of weapons, I found like 5 different handguns, like hand cannon handguns that all seem different in different like pretty distinct in how they function. And all of the weapons are like handcrafted too, which is nice. So you don't run into that Borderlands problem where everything is just like slightly different version of this, and it like there's so many different variations on the same thing that it just feels like everything is kind of generic. Whereas this, like you find weapons that feel distinct from each other.
Yeah, they have their own name and everything, and like sometimes you'll find one with 50 attack power, and later you'll find one with 90 attack power. But they're the same gun. They just are. It's a stronger version of the
numerically stronger. But like all of the weapons have stats like handling and impact, and those are the things that vary depending on the gun. So yeah, I don't know. Like I'm really happy with Destiny 2 so far. All of the minor bugbears I have with it all come down to the UI. There are lots of little UI issues.
Of being a console game first.
Yeah, you can tell things like hold E to talk to a character. Every character you have to hold E on to talk to them. Really irritating, because like on console I think it's a little bit easier to push the wrong button and then get stuck in an animation or something. And on PC it kind of isn't. Like I mean, yes, the E key is right next to W.
This whole
like,
set of buttons here.
Yeah,
you don't just have 4.
Yeah, so and I think people are more used to not pushing E when playing a shooter on PC, like when they don't want to. I don't know. And then like the map, when you open the map, you have to like drag your mouse across, like against the screen, and it never seems to like center your character on the map. You always have to like open the map and then drag down, which is like
It's
it
not
would
even
make more
dragging.
sense.
It's not like clicking and dragging
Yeah,
like an
yeah.
RTS. You have to go to the side of the screen and it'll
You have to like
slowly
push
crawl
the edge.
farther you
Yeah,
come out.
it's really annoying. So I don't know, like it's there's lots of little things. Things that like some things make sense to still work that way. Like if you want to dismantle a weapon, which is basically changing it into scrap, you do have to push and hold that.
Yeah.
But that makes sense.
Well,
Like
then
that is something
there are,
that
like,
you need to
things,
actively think about.
Like for example, you need to go and place like a battery inside of a machine. And then you have to stand there and hold the button, but it's not just like a whoop. It's like you have to sit there and channel on it, and that's obviously intentional.
Right.
But like speaking to a character or activating a quest marker,
Like
that
those
should
things
be
shouldn't take that. Like I don't know. Like certain things it makes sense. Like if you want to activate a story quest, so you don't accidentally push E on it. Like that makes sense. Like activating a terminal or putting in a battery or whatever. That stuff makes sense. Talking to characters and whatever, like opening dialogues, like that shouldn't be I don't know. That's dumb.
But those are the complaints, and I think like we're dwelling on them because the game is fantastic. And you and I have only been to Earth, or you may have gone a little farther. I'm not sure. But...
I still have not gone to Titan, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Went
like
to Earth.
It would not. It's not like it's a I don't know. It's a minor gripe, I guess, because the gameplay is solid. The gameplay is fun. I enjoy the variety of weapons. The class, I don't know. I haven't played enough to really get a feel for how different the classes are from each other yet. But I don't know. Like the UI is such a like glaring irritation that I dwell on it because I have to use it all the time. Like that's the thing. I don't know. If it was like a minor thing tucked in a menu that I didn't have to worry about, then I wouldn't care so much. But the fact that I'm like and like when you're putting in points and stuff and switching between subclasses, that's annoying. Like you have to right click to open a subclass menu, which is like that's annoying. I don't know. It's just there's lots of like little things that are there and you're not sure why. Oh well, I mean, it's not that I'm not sure why because it's like that because it was like that on consoles. I don't know why it's there still. I guess. Yeah. So, I'll have to dig more into it. But so far, I've loved the time that I've played with it because the gunplay is just so great. I'll go around and just run around in circles killing things just because it's fun to use the guns.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's very fun.
And something that I wasn't expecting. It has kind of like open areas. I was kind of I was sort of expecting each area to be instanced, kind of like I don't know, something like Path of Exile, right? Once you leave the town, you're in kind of your own zone, and it's not like that. This game definitely has like communal zones, something more akin to like Guild Wars 2, which technically it's still instanced, but it's in large servers. So
sometimes they're like really dead though. I was playing yesterday morning before Thel got here.
Yeah.
I found like one dude.
When I first played, there were like 2 people right at the beginning of the zone, and then I didn't see anyone for like 2 hours. So
so I think sometimes maybe like 10 to 25 people instead of like 100 people like Guild Wars is, but it's still.
I've seen as many as 20 people in one area though. Like, so it's I don't know. It's not as if it just seems like random. It seems random how many people are in any given zone. It's not like the game tries. It doesn't seem like the game tries to funnel multiple people into the same zone. It just seems like it has a bunch of random servers, and you play Russian roulette to see which one you're in. Like, I don't know. I happen to be in a server with like a group of like 2 groups of 4 people or whatever, how much ever a fire team is. So I don't know. Like it seems random, and that is like another minor weird complaint. But honestly, I'd play this game solo if I had to. Like it's so the gun controls are so tight that all the weapons feel different from each other. Feel responsive. They feel chunky. Like it feels like when you shoot something, you feel it. Whereas and I don't know how they do it. Like I've never, I don't think I've played a game that's felt that good in terms of like the feedback and gunplay response. Probably since like Halo 2. I don't know, and it just goes to show how good Bungie is at. I don't know, like making that feel good, but I don't know, like it's weird because I thought that maybe force feedback had a lot more to do with it in Halo 2 than it did, because now it's just like I'm still playing on PC and I don't have a fancy like force feedback mouse or anything.
Rumble mouse.
Yeah, rumble mouse.
Which would be the worst thing ever.
Oh, I'm sure. So it's not like, I don't know, there's any force feedback that I have, so it's just everything feels tight and heavy and good, and it, like, the physics just make sense. I don't know. Weird.
Right. One thing I found, remember how, like, when I first started playing the game with you, I was like, I wonder if they'll have, like, modifiable sights and this and that and blah, blah, blah later on in the game. They do.
I actually, I realized that almost every weapon you pick up has modified, like, it's not modifiable, it has a couple of options.
Yeah, a couple of options.
Yeah, so
which I think is also really cool. I think rarer weapons have more options on them, too.
Yeah, and I think the rarer the weapon is, the more drastic the changes are. And okay. I've noticed stuff like, I have a marksman rifle that has a short scope and a long scope, and the long scope you get longer range in exchange for, like, stability, and the other ones you get more stability and more impact or something while aiming down sights, so stuff like that. Not impact, but something along. I'm not familiar enough with the game to actually know what all the stats do yet, but I don't know.
I think impact might not be like the amount of upfront damage it does. I think impact is the chance to stagger, like how good it is at making enemies stagger. Because I've noticed they do that.
No, I think that it has to do with how much damage happens all at once, or like, because high impact weapon, I don't know, maybe this is correlational, but high impact weapons have, tend to have longer, like, cooldown between shots.
Right.
So I think that, I don't know, at least the impression that I get is the higher the impact, the more damage it does all at once, which could affect stagger, right? That could just be what it does stagger. So I don't know, like it's hard to say, I guess, exactly. And I'll need to go look at like a guide on Destiny 2 stats to see what they all do, because honestly some of them I just straight up don't really know what they do. So I don't know. Anything else you want to say about Destiny?
I think that's it. I like the variety of events even on Earth. Like, remember that you and I went to a place where we fought like this big ball with an eye in the middle of it for like a public event? Well, I went to that place 2 more times for 2 more public events. And one time we were fighting like this big spider mech frame thing, and a different time we were fighting like I don't know. It was like they were trying to drill something, and we had to destroy the drill.
Yeah,
so like even in the same spot.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. So, I think that they have a decent amount of variety. What they don't have is very many. It feels like, and all of the ones are on the same spot. So it's like that one circle area that you were talking about. Definitely is one of the ones in particular that. There are like 3 or 4 different events on that one spot, but there's almost nothing around it. And maybe it's, I don't know, maybe I'm just spoiled a little bit by Guild Wars 2. It's really hard not to compare the two games, but in Guild Wars 2, they have a larger variety of different things, and events move you to more places. Spot. Yeah, and they move at the same time, whereas this one, it's like, it feels very much like occasionally things will be happening at the same time, but it's like you go from almost stage to stage. It's like this is an area and then this is an area. It's not like one large area that you kind of move around in. It's like one area and then like a corridor and another area.
It's like a circle and then a couple hallways and then 2 circles here and then a couple more hallways that branch out.
Yeah, and I don't know how much I like that yet. I guess we'll see how much variety they have. Maybe that's just an Earth thing. Maybe there will be more variety on other planets. Maybe areas will get more open. But I don't know. It feels like that might be a limitation of how they designed the engine or something. I don't know. And that's not to say it's horrible or bad or anything. It's just maybe slightly less variety of environments in terms of events, at least early on. But like I said, I've only put maybe like, I don't know, 8 hours into this game so far.
I did get a chance to try Conclave. Once I had a little, like, I think it tries to match you with people at relatively the same power level. Once I had a little more...
You mean the Crucible?
Crucible. What did I say? Conclave? Conclave is the PvP in Warframe, which you should never even touch.
That makes more sense.
Excuse me.
But I got to try the Crucible, and...
Crucible. Not Crucible, it's Crucible.
Whatever. I thought it was fun. It was definitely fun. What I played was a capture point mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was 3 separate capture points, and the way it works is you capture the points, but capturing the points does not give you points. You don't have to sit there and hold it. You have to capture the points, and then for each point you own, when you get a kill, you get 1 point for your team. So if you own 1 point, you get 1 point per kill. If you own 2 points, you get 2 points per kill.
I've played gameplay modes like that.
So I thought that was really interesting.
That actually sounds similar to one in Halo 2.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I know. It's like, obviously I'm gonna compare it to Halo 2 a lot. I didn't like Halo 3 as much. That's why I'm not talking about Halo 3. I liked Halo 2 better, but
yeah, I used to watch my buddy Artemis play Destiny 1 a lot because he streamed before he came to work every day. It was really it was fun, but I didn't understand anything that was going on. It's weird because, like, playing, Destiny 1 obviously is a little different, but I'm sure that it has very similar PvP modes. Playing the PvP mode, I, like, instantly understood a lot of things. I was like, when I was watching him play it, I was like, what the fuck is this special ammo he's picking up? It's just ammo for his heavy weapon, like the sniper rifle
Right.
And that's why he always went for the heavy ammo so fast, because he used a sniper rifle. It actually got more impressive to me, the shit he pulled off, because he basically legitimately only used his sniper rifle, which you get like 4 shots with, and then you have to go find a pickup. And he would like wipe entire teams with 1 pickup. So
in the PvE, I really like the sword. There's like a thing that's straight up, which is and I found out when you run out of ammo, they don't take the sword away from you. You can still use the sword. It just doesn't do like any damage hardly.
I see.
But you can still run around and like it takes like 3 shots to kill someone instead of 1. But like if you really want to run around with the sword forever, you basically can. It's funny.
I see.
Which having a sword which puts you into third person in like a very like gun-centric game is really nice. I haven't seen something like that since Unreal Tournament 2, which was an Xbox game, not to be confused with Unreal Tournament 2004, which was a PC game.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Unreal Tournament 2, you could run, like, each weapon, or each character had, like, a melee weapon they could run around with, which was kind of cool. And this reminds me of that, so. And have I played anything else?
I'd recommend Destiny.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I like, as always, our opinions might change a little bit as we play more of it, but at this point in time, yeah, I'd probably recommend it.
Yeah. Even if you're just in the
gunplay is
PvP,
very solid.
I played 1 match of the PvP and I got my ass handed to me, but I can definitely tell it's really solid. Obviously,
I almost
we're streaming to
dislike
Twitch. It's the most.
I almost dislike that PvP is so tied to PvE. Like, I would almost rather it work in Guild Wars, where you can just go there at any point and have capped stuff, and it's just, or at least a casual mode that, like, you didn't have to worry about that. I don't know, but
yeah.
maybe more of that.
It looked like there was a separate, like you had to do 2 crucible matches, and it looked like there was a second mode. So maybe I
don't
only
know.
played one, so maybe that second mode is different. I'm not sure. I'm sure somebody could enlighten us, but it's not a super important.
Crucible. Not crucial. Anyway, yeah. So I think I played a more Cuphead, but I mean, it's Cuphead. It has some fun dudes.
Yeah, what are you gonna say about Cuphead that hasn't been said
a million times by us even?
Yeah. Would you guys mind turning down your my mic volume on your end a little bit?
Is it feeding back?
Just a little bit. And probably not on the recording. It's just annoying me. So.
I see.
Have I played anything else? I don't think so. I think it's just mostly been Destiny. I don't know. I've been playing more Zelda, but we talked about that at length last time.
Yeah.
Have you guys played anything else you want to talk about before we talk about Stranger Things?
No,
anything else I want to talk about? No, pretty much all I've been playing is Warframe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been playing Train. I wrote it here. That was it. That's about So we want to talk about Stranger Things?
Yeah. You should get a handheld or something.
We didn't finish it.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, none of us have finished it. In fact, I've only gotten 2 episodes in. So this is just general first impressions and as spoiler free as possible. So
yeah, which is weird because like the spoiler stuff happens in like the first episode.
Yeah.
Can we spoil the first season? Because I don't think we can talk about the second season at all if we can't spoil the first season.
I think you can. Awesome. You just have to just generally avoid major plot points. Like, I would not talk about the ending of Stranger Things directly, but you could talk about how.
Right, but like in Stranger Things 2, one of the biggest things is about the situation that Elle is in.
Yeah.
And even me just saying that now, the fact that Elle...
Well, no, I mean, like, so I think that it's an interesting twist how Elle returns, but I would not say probably more than that. I was actually... it was very surprising at, like... how they revealed that. I thought that was pretty interesting.
And
as it goes on, it kind of gives you more information about how
which is really super cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And not only that, but this and then this is the problem with like talking about Stranger Things without doing spoilers is just because of the fact that like this is like one of my favorite parts of it. Is that like the way the thing that happens with Elle leads into some really interesting character dynamics that I really like. It's one of those good old good cop bad cop sort of deals where one of them's a child.
One of them is actually a cop too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So, I don't think it's a major spoiler to say that Elle returns in the second season.
Yeah.
But the fact that you said that Elle returns in the second season kind of makes it a spoiler that she.
And that's if you focus. I mean, you can... returns is kind of like, you know who returned? All of the main characters in the first Stranger Things. Like, you can say the cop returned in season 2. You can say the mom returned in season 2. Like, that's not that crazy to say.
I'm stealing Del's thunder here. Samwise Gamgee
is in the movie.
The movie.
The movie television
he's Bob,
show, yeah.
The mom's girlfriend. He's the actor that plays Samwise Gamgee in Lord of the Rings.
He just shows up in the first episode. Is that fucking Sam?
He is also one of the characters in the Goonies, and we determined that's why they got him.
Yeah, we were like, he was a Goonie. Fucking. This is why Sam's in this fucking movie.
So yeah, I thought that so far the aesthetic has been spot on. It's kind of taken a different tone as the first one though. Which is kind of interesting. In the first one, I thought that they focused more on how small town it was and like quiet almost. And this one's definitely been like a lot louder, pretty much right from the get go. Like there's stuff in the arcade that they focus on a lot. There's stuff like Halloween trick or treating in the second episode, like parties and stuff, and they had a little bit of that in the first one, but it was not nearly
but
as
it was
much
like the party was like 4 fucking people drinking in a pool, like in the first season, and then like in this one they have like this huge party that's like a bunch of...
right. So I think just like it's kind of an interesting.
Yeah, when I
tonal
saw
shift.
that party, I was like, are there even this many teenagers living in that small town? Are there this many people living in
Well,
that small
here's
town?
the thing. I grew up in a small town. I grew up in a very, very small town that was just a street. There were about 200 like kids in my high school total.
Well,
So,
I think that in the first season,
Yeah.
they definitely show a school big enough to have that many people.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, sure
there are
do.
enough people at school in the first season that it would make sense for a large party like this to happen, I guess. And there was I don't know. There was less focus on it, but there was a party in the first season that had a decent number, definitely less than this more recent one, but it was more than 4 people. I don't know. So it's just like it's an interesting tonal shift is all that I was kind of thinking about. It's just that louder music, louder characters. There's been a lot more use of music in this season.
Yeah.
There's the
less ambient music.
Most of
more
the
like-
loud music is tied to that one character. There's a new character that's introduced. Most of the loud music is pretty.
a lot of it, but not all of it. I would say that like,
We can't even we don't even need to spoil like this particular guy because we don't know what the fuck his deal even is. There's just there's a character that's introduced that's an asshole. He has a pedo stash, and that's all we
He's
And
know.
all the high
asshole.
school girls think he has a great butt, even though all
He
of the
really
other characters-
doesn't.
All the other characters
have better
butt.
butts.
He is like the worst butt in the show.
Yeah, I mean it's an
Eh.
okay, but it's a fine butt.
I don't know.
It just looked accented because he was wearing skinny jeans. is all.
Yeah, he's the only
Those weren't
character.
skinny jeans. Those were like
Yeah, those were
those
regular.
were era.
They were like-
those were era appropriate
Era
jeans.
level.
Yeah,
skinny
they were
jeans,
like
yeah.
they were like 80s band butt jeans.
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah,
I think that they were pretty flat jeans, which I thought was kind of funny because they were talking about his butt. I saw that scene and
there were
thought
some pretty flat butt.
I saw that scene and thought those jeans flatten out his butt a lot, so it's funny that they're talking about his butt. But anyway, so I don't know. Already, I feel like Stranger Things season 2 feels at least as strong as the first one, if not more. I'm actually really digging it so far.
Yeah.
The opening scene was also really interesting. The very, very beginning scene that had nothing to do with the small town. It kind
Yeah.
of like, I don't know. It hasn't come like we watched through like 6 episodes, and that
Yeah.
the points that were made in that opening scene have not come back at all, not once in the for 6 episodes we've watched. So
Yeah.
5.
but so like I don't know if they just
5,
wanted
yeah,
to do
5.
a little world building. Or,
I don't know. I
well,
could see.
no,
I could see.
Technically, that did come back a little bit when we saw a flashback.
Well, that was also alluding to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
season.
well, it was the character was there in the.
That
I'll
was
explain to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
that
I'll
was-
explain to you in a minute.
that was
I
alluding
don't remember.
to season
I know what you're
1
talking
too. I think it was building. Yeah, I think it was world building. It was building out the world of kind of. It was kind of like
I
a
don't-
logical conclusion to stuff that happened in season 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
without going more directly into it, like I think that's interesting. We'll see where that goes, but yeah, right now I think that Stranger Things is definitely worth watching, and I don't
I've
think that
also-
we have to really tell anyone that because I don't think anyone was.
Yeah, everybody
No,
knows
I don't
that
know.
Stranger Things is great.
Yeah.
The first season of Stranger Things was such a monumental hit that everybody's focused
Yeah.
on it.
Everybody's
So-
on it.
Yeah, I feel that our glowing recommendation is not going to affect people wanting to watch it.
Yeah, and not only that, one of the things I really liked, all of the like all of the kids, like each of the kids has their own subplot.
Mhm.
Everyone has something to do. They're not just all lumping the kids together in. There's Mike who likes Elle, and then there's like a Mike's friends, and they all have to find Will. Everyone's got some stuff they're doing,
Mhm.
and it all ties into the plot, and it's great. And I love it.
don't think it was too
I'm
bad in
happy
the
about
first
that.
season
My
because
favorite
they
thing
did
is
have
how-
their
how,
things
like-
going on, but
All 4 of them are friends, but Mike and Will are just like super tight. You
Yeah.
know, like they are obviously like the best of friends, and the other 2 are still there and they're still really good friends. But Mike
I
Lucas
and
don't
is
know,
the
Elle,
front
like-
teeth guy. I don't remember what his name is.
I think that is a new revelation because I don't think that was really how
Yeah,
it
it wasn't
seemed
really
in
built
season
on
1.
the last one.
Wasn't
and
I think I think that
yeah.
well, I mean, it didn't help that one of those 2 characters was
Like gone the
gone
entire
for
movie.
most of season 1. But
Yeah.
I think that because of his experiences in season 1 and season 2, he
I don't feel like it's really a spoiler to say who it happened in the first episode, like early on in the first episode of the first season. But
well, I
yeah,
don't really
Will and
remember.
Mike kissed. That was a little
The
bit
only
weird.
reason I'm avoiding names is because I'm bad with names, and the only character's name I remember is Will. So,
oh, okay.
And that's because that was the name of the first episode of the first season.
Will is the kid that disappeared in the
Yeah.
first season.
Yeah, and that's why I remembered it. It's because it was like,
Uh-oh.
This is the problem.
oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
No, come back.
Okay, we might experience some technical difficulties. You know what? I have a good idea. Why don't we go to break right now?
Okay.
If we're just about through.
So,
I mean, I
what
feel
time
like
is
that's
it? It's oh crap, we're already messed up. It's 5:08.
Yeah.
Here, I'll just move it to this one. Oh. So it's 5:00.
No, don't change it. It's okay.
What? Well, no,
As
now
long
we're
as
just
it's
cutting
going-
off Thel. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Well, I have to change it because it already messed up. So I'd rather than
Okay.
having a broken image for 5 minutes while we talk about when we're coming back. So yes. What time do it's 5:09. Why don't we come back at, I don't know, 5:20? Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
It's 11 minutes from now.
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
See you guys later.
We'll see you in a moment.
And we're back.
And we're back.
And we're back.
We hope you enjoyed all those riveting commercials that we showed you.
None.
All of the none of them.
None. None.
So what's next on the agenda for us?
News. Which one should we do first? Which
Are we
side?
doing news? You guys haven't watched or played anything else?
No.
I think I'm not. That's about it.
Yay.
All right.
Be on news now.
News. Yeah, I don't know. Let's quickly go over the box office, just because normally we don't do this, but I think it's notable enough right now that
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of funny. So number 1 was Jigsaw, which is funny because it's like the second worst opening for a Saw movie, and it
I
got
thought
number
that
1. What?
I thought that it came out on Halloween night.
No. Halloween
No.
weekend, which was this last weekend.
Right.
So like last Friday would be Halloween weekend because Halloween doesn't start till Tuesday. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do feel like probably one of the reasons that it made like this much money. First off, there's fucking nothing else out there that like people already. You want to go to
really
a movie
nothing.
on this weekend?
Yeah,
It's
nothing's
like,
playing.
yeah. Not only that, but I feel like people have spent enough time away from the Saw movies that they sort of almost go, "Oh yeah, Saw. I remember those movies. I don't remember the fact that they were coming out every fucking 3 goddamn seconds, and 90% of them were terrible."
Well,
But
this one
they
does
think, "Oh,
something.
yeah, it's
This
Saw."
one does something a little bit smarter in that it takes the number off of the Saw and just says
Wow.
Jigsaw. So it's actually named Jigsaw because it's.
Instead of Saw 22,
I think
people
what
would realize
it would be
if
like Saw 8, I think, or something like that.
Oh.
I don't really remember. Or maybe 7. Maybe it's Saw 7. I forget. Then it was Tyler Perry's Boo 2, a Medea Halloween, which is funny that got
God,
second.
what?
Fucking damn it! Are we? I'm
You're
disappointed that Tyler
not
Perry's
kidding.
new Boo Medea. Tyler Perry presents Medea in a Boo Halloween was fucking like I'm trying to make like a fucking joke about how the title's really long, but the title is so egregious that it's like I can't even fucking do anything about that.
what the fuck is that?
How do
You got
how do
me.
you not know
it's
at this
it's
point?
like
I've
yeah,
never
I don't
heard
know.
of that.
Let's move
It's
on.
another fucking Tyler Perry Medea movie. Another Tyler Perry presents Medea trademark.
Is it
A
anything
Boo
like
Halloween.
Scary Godmother?
No.
That's what it sounds like to me.
No, it's not. It's
Like,
pretty far removed from
It
Scary
sounds
Godmother.
like a Cartoon Network direct-to-TV cartoon movie. Is what that name makes me think of.
It's
But
like
this
a parody.
it's like a scary movie, but No, it's like a scary movie. Scary.
You mean
movie.
like a scary movie, like the title "Scary"?
Title
movie.
scary.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. Fuck. You say that it's like it should be like a cartoon. Like it sounds like it should be a Cartoon Network. You're both right and wrong at the same time. It should be it's more like an Adult Swim bullshit.
It's a live action bullshit.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, where Tyler Perry plays all of the characters. Like,
Does he really?
yes. Shit. How do you people not know what the fuck? How?
Who's Tyler Perry?
Moving on.
So
So that made 10 million.
Anyway, move on.
That made 10 million.
Oh no!
And a worldwide gross of 35. So its worldwide was actually larger than Saw's.
Dude makes a movie like every year and puts his name on all of them. They're always a
Yeah,
Tyler Perry presents Medea.
I remember the last one too, like last year's.
Hideo
That was a
Kojima.
Halloween
I haven't
one.
seen any of them, but I've seen the like posters for them.
Return to New York.
Medea is a fat black woman, and
So,
it's her house.
Geostorm.
What?
Geostorm got third place in its second week and got 5.6 million.
Oh boy,
Uh,
what even is Geostorm? Shit.
I haven't even heard of
the
that
premise of that
That's
movie is they create a bunch of satellites that can control the weather.
Mhm.
And then someone steals them and fucks people. He fucks over entire nations with the
So
weather.
it's literally the like most generic evil scientist plot.
Oh wait,
possible.
I did see
Kind
a
of.
trailer for this one, and I thought, wow, that looks kind of bad.
Yeah, and
I
it is
did
bad.
actually see the trailer.
I think
for
it's
that.
Rotten Tomatoes. Its Rotten Tomatoes really low.
Yeah.
Then in its third week, Happy Death Day got fourth place and made another 5 million. So Happy
Did
Death
you-
Day was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
Was
apparently,
that the
yeah.
one you talked about the other week?
Yeah, that one was the Groundhog Day
Yeah.
horror movie comedy kind of.
They also had a really terrible trailer. What is it with terrible, terrible trailers that make their movies look bad?
I don't think it had that. I don't think it had that poor of a trailer.
I saw the trailer and I was like, wow, this looks like another generic Hollywood movie, except it's going to be Groundhog Day. I guess someone
space.
saw All You Need Is Kill the movie and thought, oh, I want to make this but a horror movie and make money off of it.
I don't know. I thought the trailer looked okay, and it was funny. I think maybe the trailer understated how much of a comedy it was. I guess it's like
Yeah,
a
because it
parody.
didn't look like there was any comedy aspect like from the trailer at all. It looked like it was just a like it looked really really generic Hollywood horror movie, which is like this isn't all that horror is anymore. Nowadays we got fun stuff that's good.
So anyway, and then Blade Runner.
Bye man.
Blade Runner had its 5 million, and its worldwide gross is now 223. But
Oh, good. I'm glad that it was able to China.
but it performed poorly in China.
Oh fuck.
Really?
Oh.
It performed really well basically everywhere else, just not China. China didn't like it.
Fuck you, China. You literally have the worst taste in movies.
No.
You are the reason.
Robots cannot take over world. We will take over world first.
No,
I'm sorry, that
China
was
yeah,
bad.
That was horrible. China is the reason that the Transformers movies keep getting made. Straight up.
Yep.
China, stop. Please stop.
And then notable film closings was Baby Driver closed at 107 domestic,
Yeah.
226 worldwide gross on a budget of 34 million.
Yay.
Nice.
So it made a lot of money.
Good. It deserved it. It was very good.
Also, Mother closed and only barely made its budget. Well,
Well,
worldwide it made its budget, but
yeah.
Mhm.
anyway, that's the box office. I thought it was kind of funny this week because it
Yeah.
just seemed bizarre. Like this has probably been one of the worst Octobers in history.
It's pretty bad.
October
It's-
is like the month for scary movies, and there were what 2 horror movies on that list.
I mean, there's still
And neither. See, the funny thing is, this year's
Oh, excuse me.
this year has been the best year in horror movies, like ever.
At least financially, yeah.
financially ever, and neither of those movies came out around Halloween. There was
Yeah.
Get Out and It, and neither of them came out around Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which leads us into the next piece of news: Get Out and It make 2017 the biggest year in horror movie history. Go figure.
In horror movie history, like
Yes.
ever.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, as far as like financially,
Biggest box office year in history for horror movies, and all the genre brought in 733 million in ticket sales.
like those were two pretty big. Like, it especially was like one of the biggest movies of the year.
300 million.
Yeah,
Get Out made 175 million.
no, it's still really good actually.
Jesus.
Yeah,
And those were
happy
both
about it.
on those were both on respectable budgets too. Like
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and I feel
it
like
a little bit more, but
oh yeah. I feel like Get Out was it was sort of a risk for the studio to take, but they knew Jordan Peele. He was good. He knew what he was doing. And he wanted to do this thing. He had a vision, and they gave him the money to do whatever the fuck he wanted, and he did whatever he wanted, and it turned out great. You know, hey studios, hey,
Do that.
yeah, it's
Give people what they want. If you know they're respectable, just let them fucking do it.
you've been fucking around like this since the goddamn okay 90s, late 80s probably, because I mean it's like I was about to say like most of the 80s, but then like you had the fucking director who made RoboCop, I don't remember his name, just do it, running around doing stuff like that. You had Canon Films doing whatever the hell they wanted, but it's like studios since the 90s have groups of people, test screenings, focus groups. We have teams of people who decide to make these movies and to make us the most money.
and also since it made 300 million at the box office, it is the highest grossing domestic movie of all time,
Wow.
Nice.
including The Exorcist.
Wow.
Wow.
The other years that were close to being really big, like previous, the 2 years that were like the biggest before this were 1973 when The Exorcist came out,
Yeah.
Okay.
2000s where the Saw film came out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was the little movie that you just did whatever the fuck you want and never touched another Saw movie again, by the way.
Saw was the only good one.
Yeah.
So-
So the first Saw was the only good one, and he was the reason that it was good. He's what the fuck has he been doing?
I have never seen even the first Saw movie, but I know pretty much literally every single thing that happens in Saw because it's been parodied so many times.
Oh god.
Not the first Saw, you might not know. The first Saw is essentially a psychological thriller, and every
Yeah.
Saw following it was basically Final Destination.
Yeah.
So,
Huh.
like from Saw 2 onward, it was just a trial in how can we kill the people in the most hilarious ways we can think of, or
Yeah.
gory or bizarre.
Whereas the first Saw was like
The
it's
first
about
Saw
two
still
people.
had that whole thing with like the traps and stuff. Is
Well,
that-
okay. Here's the thing.
Not exactly.
The first Saw, there were like a couple of cutaway bits with traps that like lasted like 3 seconds. And it's like I did all of this shit before, but mostly it was just two dudes in a room chained to like a pipe, and it's like okay, here's one fucking saw. One of you guys has to cut off the. you
It
gotta
was
cut off the
like
fucking
it was
arm.
like a dilemma situation for them, whereas like in the original Saw, I got distracted. In the original Saw, it was kind of like a dilemma situation where it's like, which one of you will escape or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there was two people and a corpse in the room.
Yeah.
And then they cut away briefly to traps because at the same time police were investigating.
Yeah,
too.
and that was like one
And
of
it
the
cut
most
away to
interesting
traps
parts.
but the
Yeah.
traps were for the purpose of protecting the guy.
Yeah.
They had nothing to do. It wasn't like a fun way to kill people. It was just like they served a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And in the ones following that, it was just like these are elaborate Rube Goldberg machines meant to kill people. Just because.
Yeah, and did they follow up on like the police investigations at all?
Yeah, over
Because
the
I feel
course
like-
of the movies, they did eventually capture and execute Jigsaw. But then in this new movie, Jigsaw, it's revealed that he will escape or something. I don't know. I didn't actually see it, but from the trailer, it is the real Jigsaw
some
escape.
sort of fucking ghost or demon or some bullshit like that, I'm gonna shit.
Oh, I don't even know.
Like he's fucking Freddy 6. He's actually Satan's butt boy and has to
Yeah.
collect souls like Cuphead.
Who even knows?
Who even knows? Whoever saw Jigsaw knows. They know.
They know.
They know.
I don't know. Maybe some people really like the Saw movies, but they've been doing very, very poorly over
Some
time.
people do like the Saw movies.
I think
They're-
Saw 4 was notable.
Most
I
of the
think
Saw parodies that you see are parodies of Saw 1 through 8.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There
Or
are
2 through 8.
Here's the thing. There are some like horror junkies out there who do like all horror movies, good or bad. I don't understand, but I do know that they exist.
I think Saw 4 was notable by being beat by Paranormal Activity in its 5th weekend. So Saw 4 was beat by Paranormal Activity long after it came out.
And then they made fucking a 50 million of those because those make more money apparently.
Well,
in
that's
the 5th
because
weekend, yeah.
that's because they made those movies with fucking tape. But moving on,
incredibly cheap to make.
To Star Wars and Mark
Oh.
Hamill.
Fuck. I do remember, like, okay, the thing about this, it was the thing was talking about, Harrison Ford was the one who made Mark Hamill get on board. That almost kind of surprises me because Harrison Ford was always really, really like, I don't fucking want to do another Star Wars.
So what kind of happened was, because I read the story and it said that in the interview with Mark Hamill, he was basically like, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford were all kind of there, and in the pitch, like not even a minute after the pitch was over, Carrie Fisher was like, "Yes, I want it. Let's do it." So she was totally on board, and Harrison Ford reluctantly agreed, probably after a little bit of negotiation. And so Mark Hamill was like, he also did not want to do another Star Wars, but he was like, well, shit. If Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford are doing it, then that means I have to, or I will be the most hated most hated in nerdom ever. Like I have to do it now. Otherwise, I won't live it down. Because he completely expected Harrison Ford to pass on it. And thought that he would get away with also saying no because Harrison Ford didn't want to do it. But what happened was Harrison Ford agreed. And he was like, well, shit, now I have to.
And here's the thing. Mark Hamill, more than anyone, has been shit-talking these movies. Like, he's been going on a rampage, like, no one knows what the fuck they're doing. You know, they're just handing, like, the story. There's no, like, plan set in place. They're just handing, like, one story off to another, and then, like, the last guy's just gonna have to figure out how this all ends. Like, there's no build-up. They're fucking,
apparently he had a lot of disagreements with how the Jedi Order would be dealt with, and but I mean,
The Last Jedi isn't out yet, is it?
No, not yet.
Does it have a release date?
Christmas. Christmas.
And
Christmas
like all of them have a. That's the thing. They wrote a fucking release date for the movies before they wrote a fucking story for the movies. They still don't have a goddamn plot for the last Star Wars movie. But it's gonna come out in 2 years, on December.
Well, to be fair though, this has like been the Disney Marvel thing forever. It was funny when Disney bought Star Wars because then you put the Star Wars release dates with the Marvel release dates, and it was just this ridiculous map of movies. But so apparently, not to disrespect Mark Hamill, I think he's amazing, right? But I'm not 100% on board with. I don't really know how good of a scriptwriter he is or anything like that, so I hesitate to say that Mark Hamill definitely knows what should be happening with Star Wars. So I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think that his problem is necessarily like this isn't how Star Wars should be won. And truth be told, through all of George Lucas's problems, which there are fucking many of them, he always did have a plan. He always did have like a certain direction that he wanted to go. He did straight up plan up the prequels while he was making Star Wars. That's no joke. He did do that. He didn't have all of the details down.
Still like the speculation that that he changed the path of the original movies because of the reaction to Jar Jar Binks, but
Yeah.
Because Jar Jar Binks like wasn't even in the second movie because of it.
Well,
So.
and the thing is, like, I feel like I don't know, because one thing I do know about George is he is petty. He's very petty. That might be why he sold fucking Star Wars to Disney, because he's like, the fans are gonna fucking hate this, and they didn't. They've turned on him. All of those internet nerds kind of did actually like the fucking Force Awakens, because I mean it was a good movie. It had good characters. It had fun writing.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was the same fucking story as A New Hope, and I really hope the next one doesn't do that. But I liked it pretty much. It was good. I ain't got no complaints about it.
I don't know. I think that it was different enough from the New Hope. Like if you boil it down to major plot sequences, then yes, but.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like with the major plot sequences, they did that specifically for. This is the thing that's going to be like the fans, and that's why a lot of George Lucas's ideas. George Lucas went to Disney and gave a bunch of his ideas, and they shut him the fuck down because Disney wanted to make a movie from the fans. And again, for all of George Lucas's fault, he's not good at telling these stories, but he does tell stories that are completely different than his others.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah. But yeah, the new Star Wars is very, very corporate. Which, I mean, sometimes can be good, sometimes it can be bad. If you take, like, Colin Trevorrow, who was working on the Star Wars movies, I feel like he works best in a corporate situation because people tell him to shut the fuck up. Because he's really, really bad on his own. Like, a lot of people liked that fucking movie he made about that time machine. I thought it was fucking awful, and I hate it so much. And then I saw Jurassic World, and I was like, "This is gonna be fucking trash." Colin Trevorrow was working on it. I went and watched it. I was like, "It's okay. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be."
I think it was better than most of the Jurassic Park movies, but
I mean, like 3 especially.
Yeah, it was probably at least on par. It was maybe slightly under 1, on par with 2, I would say.
Yeah. It's
if not better than 2.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I've seen 2.
I don't think I've ever seen 2. I think I've seen like 1 and 3 a long ass time ago. Yeah, but yeah, it's.
I think I played the arcade game where you have the gun and you're in the booth and you shoot the dinosaurs at them.
Yeah, I did that too.
I like video games more than movies.
Yeah. Shit.
Well, we still have more movie news to talk about, so.
But yeah, anyway, the thing about Star Wars is, like, it's being really corporate, and Star Wars was always sort of, like, a miracle that it worked at all. And, it's really weird that Star Wars has taken this turn, but this is where we are now. This is what we got. Fuck, guys.
Well, I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see.
I think that there's no way they could have done it better so far.
Yeah. I mean, like a wholly original story that didn't have anything to do with maybe even just like focusing entirely on the old.
That would not have appeased
the fans,
Star Wars fans.
They don't know what the fuck is. They don't know what a good movie.
There's no real way. There's no real way to win. Like, so I think that they're doing the best job that they could possibly be doing under the circumstances of the dogma of the Star Wars and the Star Wars.
Yeah, and people wouldn't have hated the prequel movies if they weren't fucking bad. You know? And George Lucas did do something completely different with those. They were completely different stories, and they didn't rely at all on any of the old Star Wars stuff. I mean, there was the stuff with the Clone Wars, but that was all set up in Star Wars previously. But like, you know, the problem was all of the problems with those movies.
Thel, did Yoda die in the movies? I
forget. Yeah, he died in the third one.
Yeah, but he's like a ghost or something, right?
Yes.
He's a Force ghost.
He's an Uncle Ben ghost.
Anyway. Like from Ben 10.
Yes, from Ben 10.
Whatever. Okay, why don't we move on from Star Wars?
I talking about Star Wars. So if they just make the fucking the second movie again, I'm gonna show up in this podcast with goddamn hair curlers.
To be fair, Empire Strikes Back was the best Star Wars movie.
Oh yeah, I completely agreed. But like, if they just do that again, I'm gonna show up as a beaten fucking housewife. Like, I'm actually gonna call the police this time.
You're gonna have a coffee
fucks.
that says #1 mom.
All right, listen, Disney,
call the
we need to
police.
talk. We've been married for a long time, and I feel like the way that you are treating me, because I've done a lot of defending you. I defended you with The Force Awakens. I still thought it was really good, but you're making it harder and harder.
What if Lando Calrissian shows up again, only to backstab?
Busted
I don't know.
What? What the fuck?
He's doing the Star
Go on.
Wars music game. or
Yeah,
whatever.
Lando Calrissian from Ghostbusters.
Lando Calrissian, played by Ray Parker Jr. Go on, Saine. I'm sorry.
What if he shows up only to betray someone else in the
Holy
new
fuck.
Jedi movie?
I was the one who blew up the Death Star. Why do you guys hate me? Fuck you, Lando. You betrayed us.
He shows up and betrays Kylo Ren in order to atone for his sins of betraying Han Solo.
He already atoned for his sins for playing John. He blew up the fucking Death Star. What was jerking off in the Emperor's room, having a mutual masturbation session with his dad and his weird fucking grouchy...
Okay, enough of that. Let's move on.
Alright.
House of Cards is
Ending.
I saw that on Twitter when I went to tweet.
Yeah. I watched House of Cards. It's pretty good. I haven't seen, like, the last couple of seasons.
It's first
I don't
big.
know what else to say.
Its first big original series, and Netflix is ending it.
Yay! Well, I'm
How
glad
long has
that
it been
they're gonna have,
running?
like, an ending. Well, I think it's been like 5 years.
Yeah, at least that's the one nice thing about like the Netflix approach is I don't think they're afraid to just end things. They're not like they're not gonna like cancel things unless they're like actually really bad. Like hopefully Neo Yokio.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. What me and Appleland talked about with Neo Yokio is that we were sure that there was going to be a second season. But what actually happened, I found this out through the interviews. Ezra Koenig and Jaden Smith did this years ago. This was just a show that they had like made and recorded, and everything was done like a bunch of years ago. And originally it was going to be on Fox with Animation Domination, but then Fox just dropped it and we're like, this is shit. Eventually, like years and years later, Netflix picked it up, and Ezra Koenig was asked about like season 2. It was like, I'm working on a Vampire Weekend album right now. I don't really know if I'm gonna get around to that.
So an update to that is just that this was done forever ago, and it was ill-conceived then, and they just Netflix was just kind of like, people are interested in this, I guess.
Why not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they definitely did talk it up. Like Jaden Smith loved it.
Well, they're actors through and through, so they go onto the press circuit and are like, yeah, it's great.
Oh yeah. True enough. Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Netflix, actually,
You know what
I'm not
we
speaking of
haven't really
Netflix.
talked about
Never mind.
that's great on Netflix. BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, BoJack Horseman is really good.
I feel like it's.
Yeah,
I've never talked about that
Talk about BoJack.
What were you saying, Saine? I'm sorry.
I was gonna segue with Netflix, but it turns out that neither of these are actually Netflix. So,
Oh no.
Johnny Depp's production studio is going to produce a Secret World TV show.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
We heard about this. This is neat. I think we all liked the game, even though the combat was kind of bad. But I mean, that's not why you play the Secret World.
Right.
It's all that mystery Cthulhu stuff. There's lots of puzzles to solve, and that's all fun.
Flat out, not even inspired by Lovecraft, just
Legitimately
flat out Lovecraft stories
Yeah.
because they're public domain now.
Yeah.
The story, yeah. So the storylines were all really good. That was the strongest point. All the quests were interesting and different. Like it wasn't very bog standard in terms of its storytelling, which is really refreshing.
That's like something that's really, really egregious in a lot of MMOs is that
They're just like, go here, do this, go here, do this.
go here, do this. Why? They're the elves.
They need bat
Or-
wings.
Yeah.
The elves.
They need 4
Yeah.
yellow bat wings, but not red ones. They have to be the yellow ones.
The yellow bat wings are needed for this potion to cure the blight that the zombies said. Yeah, it just.
And then it's like, okay, you cured us. 5 minutes later,
Thanks.
oh, this is a repeatable quest. Can you get us some more?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Remember the yellow bats that you have to kill for those yellow bat wings? Sometimes they don't drop their wings because when they die, they just catch fire or something. I don't know.
Okay, so Thel, I'm gonna name some names, and you're gonna tell me if any of these ring a bell.
Okay.
So the pilot episode has been written by James V. Hart, whose accolades include Hook, Dracula, and Contact. Involved as producers are Johnny Depp, Christy.
Which Dracula?
I don't know.
The Bram Stoker's Dracula.
It just says Hook, Dracula, and Contact. That's all it says. Producers are Johnny Depp, Christy Dembrowski, Sam Sarker, and Gudrun Giddings.
I think all the people who aren't Johnny Depp are like just regular producer people who produce movies, and that's like basically what they do. So it's like, their movies are just like, I mean,
Everything.
Summer hits or summer misses. It depends on who they can fucking get, basically.
Oh, apparently it was Gudrun Giddings who optioned the media rights back in 2012.
Oh boy.
They're calling it a binge-worthy international TV show.
Everyone.
So it sounds like they may want to shop it to someone like Netflix, which would make sense.
Yeah.
Because Netflix is willing to give money. I think
Netflix
they've also announced that they've
most things. That
I think they've tripled their budget again for original programming.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was something. Yeah. There was actually a news story about this. Did we talk about that?
I don't think we did, because I think it was just like, well, of course Netflix is.
Okay. Yeah. Their original programming budget is through the roof now. And apparently they're going to be doing a lot of like anime localization or anime stuff.
Good.
Yeah, a lot of that was. We did cover that.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Speaking of anime,
Oh.
Persona 5 is gonna get its own anime TV series.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is probably better, like a better idea for an adaptation than the past ones have been, because it's more action focused in the first place.
I don't know though. Persona 4's anime adaptation, like, it was kind of just a generic anime with other things. Not a generic, but like, it had Persona 4 had all the anime tropes and stuff going on, and then it had other stuff going on at the same
but that's
time.
the thing. I think that as a story, Persona 4 was just more generic anyway, in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Persona 5 is a little bit more I don't know, nuanced and ambiguous about how you feel about the characters and stuff. And it has a more I don't know, the sequence of events make kind of more sense, like from a linear standpoint, to turn into a series, because they kind of, I don't know, they have more
it probably
specific
will be a more
scenes.
original story too, because I know you hate it, and I'm sorry, but Persona's 4 story was legitimately the same as JoJo Part 4. It was a bunch of kids who were in high school and they all got together. So maybe sometimes they were enemies at first, and they got together and they were chasing down a murderer.
That's like saying
they had their powers.
That's like saying everything is like JoJo, because JoJo has some of the most generic storylines in the first place. If you reduce it to that extent, everything is going to sound
high
like
schoolers
JoJo.
chasing down a
But
murderer
the
using
murderer-
stand. Yeah, no, that I'm with Dalsson on this one. This is definitely,
murderer was pretty.
like a
The
lot of
murderer
JoJo's
was pretty close to like the same. In Persona 4 was pretty close to the same character.
Well, and not only that, but JoJo's
Like,
actual plots are usually fucking crazy. Like a vampire who tries to fucking uses ghosts to torture and try to kill someone. So like a group of people got to travel.
My point is, it's neither here nor there, because
Right.
of course, if you reduce the stories to their bare elements, they're very similar. And the tone has a lot more to do with it than anything else. And JoJo Bizarre's Adventure's tone is so different from the Persona series; they're basically uncomparable. So,
Is it?
I would say Part 4 specifically is very similar to Persona 4, but as a whole, yes, it's pretty different. But Part 4 is very.
I don't know though. Like you can't really say that this will make a better story because it's less similar to JoJo. Like, what? How does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because, like, how many series are similar to,
You could also say
Sailor
Persona
Moon
4 is
or
basically just like
Dragon Ball? Like,
You could also easily say Persona 4 is just like Scooby Doo.
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah,
A bunch
like
of
when,
kids
when you
getting
want to
abandoned.
reduce it to that extent, yeah, you can call it that too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But moving on, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I left the thing on House of Cards for a while. Oh well. Yeah. So there's not much known about the animation, but it's going to be produced by Aniplex rather, which is
Okay.
a Sony Interactive Entertainment, and they're a really good anime production studio in my opinion.
Okay.
They're better than most of them.
Yeah.
Probably on par with like Funimation. Those are the two like best ones from my
Yeah.
perspective.
Mhm.
But yeah, so
Funimation is pretty
it's
good at
going
localizing.
to it will come out in Japan in 2018, and a dubbed version probably won't make it out until 2019. Because
Yeah.
I think Funimation is the only company that tries to do simultaneous voice dubs now.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Dubs are for losers.
Dubs are for losers. The only reason you would watch a dub is if you were doing something else while you were watching it, which, why would you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, I do that all the time, but
I don't know, like
anime's different.
I think you can make arguments depending on the tone and
Quality of voice acting?
Yeah.
setting. Like
Mhm.
the setting and the tone have a lot to do with it. Like, I don't know, like it's arguable, but like the original Full Metal Alchemist anime, I thought
Mhm.
was fine in English because it took place in what is essentially like Germany, I guess. So it
Mhm.
was Western anyway, and the characters, while they did have their moments where they acted crazy, like it wasn't a lot of it was so serious that it kind of didn't matter that it was
Well,
in
like,
English versus Japanese.
One Piece
so.
has a lot of Japanese influence, but canonically, all of the characters speak English. That's the language that they use in the world.
Yeah, unfortunately, like they have not had a
Four
good dub
Kids.
of that series,
Yeah.
so whatever.
The 4 Kids dub sucks, but as you were saying,
Yeah,
the Funimation dub is actually really good.
So yeah, I think that Funimation in particular is really good with their dubs. I don't really know about Aniplex. I can't think of. I don't really. I think maybe.
I'm pretty sure a
is
lot
Ghost
of
in
those
the
Adult
Shell
Swim shows were
Aniplex?
Aniplex.
What?
I think a lot of those Adult Swim shows were Aniplex, like
They. I don't know.
like Ghost in the Shell.
They could have easily been Funimation too. I think Ghost in the Shell might have been Aniplex.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
I think like Ghost in the Shell, Big O, fucking Spike Spiegel.
Okay, so
whatever.
actually, here I'll go through them.
Yeah,
Here are some of the most notable anime from Aniplex: Kill la Kill, Madoka
Okay.
Magica,
Yeah.
Read or Die, the TV series, Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah,
all pretty good dubs.
that's a very short list, but those are some of the more notable.
Those are
I don't.
some.
I don't watch a lot of. I basically don't watch any dubs. I don't think it's something is worth watching. Usually, 90% of the time, I don't think something's worth watching if you don't watch it in its original language.
Yeah.
But
I
those
disagree, but
all
we've
are
been over
pretty
that.
like notable for having good dubs. You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah, and Madoka Magica in particular. Naruto
Madoka
is also
does have really
Aniplex. Paprika, all of the other Persona series, Pokemon.
Did they do they do all of Satoshi Kon's movies?
I don't know off the top of my head. Sword Art Online.
eh.
I don't know how good their dubs are, Aniplex, because that's not something that's notable from them for me.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Did
Aniplex
they do
is a good
Gurren
studio.
Lagann?
They did.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm actually not seeing Ghost in the Shell. Actually,
Huh.
I don't think Ghost in the Shell is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Blood Plus, which I thought that was a terrible series, but whatever.
Yeah, well,
It was boring. Blood Plus was boring. Anyway. Okay, what's next? Actually, that's about it for movie news.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, so why don't we talk about the Night in the Woods thing, since you're probably chomping
Okay.
in the
Yeah,
bit.
you go ahead.
I kind of want to save that for last, just to tie it into the plugs.
Okay,
Sounds kind of shitty now I say it. Let's talk about other things.
whatever. Valve's making changes to Steam curators.
Okay. Do we know what the changes are exactly?
Yeah, a little bit. Not entirely, not wholesale, but we have a good idea about what they're doing. A lot of it has to do with the way that Steam Curators works now is it's going to be totally opt-in. So you have to opt in to even be able to start seeing stuff like that.
Okay.
And then curators will have they'll be able to better tie in their external links and stuff into it. And based on those recommendations, individual developers will start to be able to directly send keys and stuff to reviewers through the curation system directly. So
That's pretty cool.
So
Yeah.
if you're a curator on Steam and you have verified Twitter accounts and YouTube accounts and stuff, you can have all of those directly featured on your thing. You can have that tied to a Steam account, which will then be able to directly receive keys from developers that through in a closed system through Steam, rather than having to send keys out, which can then be resold to people who are trying to sell the keys or that sort of thing. So it actually protects the developers quite a bit more.
That's good.
And then also it gives people more tools to filter stuff and look at things and that sort of deal. So some of the changes are rolling out into a closed beta today. But Steam But you totally have to opt into it. So if you don't care about it, you won't see it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all there is about that. So we'll probably hear more about that as it updates. So,
yeah, some more.
Yeah.
More to come. More at 11.
So Nintendo says that the Switch will outsell the Wii U in its entirety in 1 year.
Yeah.
Unsurprising.
This year. Yeah.
Completely unsurprising. That is
Yeah.
not I don't even think that's a question as to how.
And actually
Yeah.
the sales have jolted up since the previous quarter. So actually they're going up even more.
Yeah, they're also making more of them to sell.
Well, they have to because they're still in shortage mode, which is pretty crazy of them. I'm going to double back on this one, but Blizzard is going to make it easier to follow Overwatch esports maps because they are announcing a bunch of new tools for Raider tournament stuff.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Do you have anything you guys want to say about that?
Good. I've watched
Overwatch
a little...
Blizzard has always forced their esports really hard.
Yeah.
Not always. That's been a more recent thing, actually.
Yeah, honestly. I do feel
Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm are notable for doing that, but before that, they didn't really push StarCraft or anything. That just kind of happened.
Sorry.
Among the features... Oh, go ahead.
I have seen a little bit of those, and I watched them last year or something, and I saw a little bit, and I did think it was really hard to follow, and it just felt like it felt really amateurish, and it was that's probably just because there was nothing the video casters could really do.
Well, it was harder for them. It's harder. It's harder for people who don't play Overwatch to even have any idea of what's happening.
Yeah.
So if you play Overwatch, then you can kind of have a general idea of what's happening in the game.
I still think that could be said for any game, like Dota or League of Legends.
Sure. Don't get me wrong. You will definitely understand more, but for people who didn't watch it, it was basically unintelligible. Where you don't.
I would say
if the casters have good enough tools, they can kind of tell you what's happening and why, even if you've never played it before.
Yeah. I would say that like Counter-Strike's pretty easy to understand, like tournament-wise.
Yeah, there's dudes and they shoot you with guns.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's literally all there is to Counter Strike.
Well,
No,
here's the
there
thing.
isn't. There is a lot more to Counter Strike, and you
Yeah,
know
there's
it.
a lot more to Counter-Strike, but
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot about the bomb.
well, and that's the same thing that could be said about Overwatch. There's a bunch of dudes and they have different types of guns and they have to push the payload, and that's the objective. And there's two teams. One of the teams doesn't want them to push the payload. The other one does.
Yeah,
That's what
but
you get.
everybody in Counter Strike has access to the same everything, whereas in Overwatch you have.
Well, you still have choices between which guns you use, which stuff you take with you, which
Yeah, and
But
like,
how is it
combinations of
hard?
that.
Like, I understand that it's hard to if you watch a Tracer run around. Like, why did she just disappear and reappear somewhere else? But
don't get
in
like
Counter-Strike,
I understand. Yes, Overwatch is harder to understand because there's so many more moving parts in Counter Strike.
Oh
That's
yeah.
not to say that Counter Strike is so simple that you can know what's happening. I don't know. Like there's a lot of strategy and stuff that goes into Counter Strike that is just better addressed because the casters have better tools to watch the games.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get into
Okay.
is just because of the fact that there is the casters have all of the stuff they can use, and the casters for Overwatch, they look like they were in just a basic like spectate mode with like health bars at the top, and that was it.
So this is what this is some of the features that they're adding. They're adding an enhanced third-person camera, better replays, a top-down map that casters can use to better describe what's happening on the whole of the map, a tournament system that will auto-pause for disconnects, which
Ooh.
did not exist before. No, that's only in tournaments.
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
well,
And
Still,
that won't
is-
affect players. That'll only be for tournaments.
that's
Yeah.
still good in tournaments. But
It won't
In-game
affect all of Overwatch.
and in-game uniforms that will highlight which player is on which team.
Yeah, I did see like the uniform stuff. That was really neat. I'm really liking that.
pause feature is great. We had a friend who argued that League of Legends getting a pause feature would be terrible because people would abuse it. And I love this man to death, but that was the dumbest argument I could ever think of because it exists in other games and people don't abuse it. So why would they abuse it in this particular game? I
Well,
think pause features for
I
disconnects.
mean, this is
are
not a
great idea.
chosen pause feature. This is the tournament, the game.
Oh,
yeah, because they've had
automatically
problems. They've had
pauses.
problems in the tournaments where even though they were on a LAN connection where there were 8 people or like 10 people or whatever
Mhm.
physically connected by wires, someone would disconnect and it would cause problems in the game because suddenly they had to be like, okay, everyone stop. Like it's just, or they would have to do a rematch or something. Like it's just
I see.
it's messy.
So it's an
Now
automatic-
it will just automatically freeze the game as soon as someone disconnects, and it will wait until everyone's connected again before it starts.
I see.
So, but that has more to do with like a technical feature that won't affect basically any actual players. That will only
Mhm.
affect
Yeah,
the
that'll
people
only
who are
affect
in
these guys,
tournaments.
yeah.
So,
Mhm.
Unless maybe they add it to like custom games as an option.
Yep.
If you want to do your like own tournaments, I don't know.
If you want to pause your custom game,
Be right back. Hot Pocket's done.
at least I got chicken.
Okay, Limited Run is going to get into Nintendo Switch publishing. For those of you who don't know, Limited Run is a small company that right now mostly focuses on PlayStation Vita titles. They take downloadable games that only exist in a downloadable form, and they create limited run print copies of those games on physical media. So something like Severed or something like that was a game that came out on the Vita that was like mostly swipe
Only
based or
downloadable?
whatever, and that was only downloadable. The only way you could get that is if you downloaded it.
Yeah.
Limited Run was this small company that would order small batches and then sell those limited runs like kind of all at once. And they got so popular that the games are basically collectibles. Because they're super limited, like one-time only releases of game cartridges.
Mhm.
I think in the past they've done a couple of like second prints, but even then it's still pretty limited. Hence the name Limited Run.
Yeah,
Apparently they are now Oh, and they did it with PlayStation 4 games as well. But now they're going to get into Nintendo Switch games.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty cool. Like, that what that does is it allows smaller developers to kind of get physical copies and like preserve games that way through physical copies.
Nice.
On a side note, they said they probably will never. This was a question that was asked them in their interview, and their response was they will basically probably never do limited runs on Microsoft consoles because Microsoft consoles continues to have large batches as minimum purchases. Which is also why game companies from Japan, like Nice America, will basically never put stuff on Microsoft consoles, is because Microsoft requires too large of a batch for them to be potentially profitable, for them to be willing to take the risk of printing on a Microsoft console, which is why Microsoft has basically no Japanese support whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I really like Limited Run. They've done some really cool games. So, well, they've printed pretty cool games.
Yeah.
What do we got?
So they don't actually create games. They just buy downloadable games and put them on cartridges.
They license them through the developers, obviously, and then sell them. And some of the profit goes to them, and some of the profit goes back to the developer because it's that kind of deal. But they produce games in very small batches. We're talking like 250 of a game.
I see.
That sort of thing.
And that's why they became.
And then once they're out, they're out.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. And then they have a numbered one, so like there are people who own one copy of every one and stuff like that. I don't know. It's really interesting, but it is kind of more of a like a preservationist kind of thing because like if these games were to be pulled from a store for one reason or another, like they will still exist in some form.
In physical form, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the big announcement is just that they're getting into Nintendo Switch for this as well.
Alright.
Okay, scroll up. So, player-unknown battlegrounds. Chinese government might ban battle royale games.
So, why? Explain that to me.
Okay. So, their argument is that it is incredibly violent and is reminiscent of things like gladiatorial arenas in ancient Rome. And they think that kind of I don't know, like violence will hurt the Japanese people. Is their
the
argument.
Socialist ideals?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I have.
Something like that. It says it goes against their moral principles and negatively influences teenagers' physical and mental health. As such, the gaming branch office sent out a warning that it will be hard to approve battle royale games to launch in China. It also recommends local companies not develop or publish such games. At the such time, esports and live stream platforms should not promote these games as well.
Okay, now normally I would say this is stupid. This is straight up censorship, and the Chinese government is trying to tell you what you can and can't do.
That's not
a bullshit.
Of course, that's not new. But you know what? I say, good on you, Chinese government. Every fucking Chinese person we've run into in player-unknown battlegrounds is either somebody who's on our team who we can barely communicate or work with, or a literal aimbotter that fucks us.
Well, that's not necessarily
literal
true.
aimbotter.
That's not necessarily true because of the fact that every Chinese person that we've had on our team has always worked with us, even though we can't understand.
That is true.
They've always been very polite, and they've always been team players. So it's
worth not getting matched with those people if it means that we don't get killed by Chinese gold farmers anymore.
Okay,
And I
but-
do mean
Well,
gold farmers.
let's be fair and not generalize all of the people of a country over the actions that you see of a few people. Like I don't think that's a fair argument. But anyway, recently there's been rumors for weeks that Tencent has been negotiating with PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds to make a China server. So if they made a China server, you wouldn't run into that problem anymore. Because
that is not true.
Yeah, that's not.
Everybody plays on North American servers from everywhere around the world and it's for every single game. It's not just PlayerUnknown. North American servers are the most populated servers. So if you play on North American servers, you get a faster queue time. And because
so many people have PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds that it doesn't matter. Like League of Legends has Chinese servers and they are fine.
Yeah, and Chinese people play on the North American servers because the queue times.
Yeah, but not exclusively. Like a majority of Chinese players play on the Chinese servers.
And that is true. And that's
we would occasionally get a Chinese person on our team, probably.
But I
don't really care if we get a Chinese person on our team. What I care about is the fucking Chinese gold farming bots. Which I say Chinese gold farming bots because that is the majority of where they come from. And that's in every game.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, I mean, just because we had one experience where we got aimbotted doesn't mean you should be salty about all Chinese people, Dalsson.
PUBGWalmart.com. PUBGWalmart.com.
PUBGWalmart.com.
Meanwhile, there are at least 30 Battle Royale games being worked on in China.
Doesn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form.
And the Chinese government just recommended that you don't.
And China's second largest game developer, NetEase, is preparing to launch a couple of them soon on mobile devices. So, sucks for China, I guess? I don't know.
And man, they made like a... I remember that huge Overwatch ripoff that came out.
How does it work for mobile devices? I don't understand.
Remember the mobile Overwatch ripoff?
Yeah, the reason that I bought those kitty cat headphones that I got floating around somewhere. Yeah.
Right here. Did you not know?
Yeah,
these the whole time. Okay, anyway. But yeah,
straight up, one of the characters in the Chinese Overwatch ripoff had...
I mean,
probably published by Tencent, I'm sure.
And this is the thing, me and Appledan had like a 2-hour-long conversation about this, but it doesn't surprise me because, I mean, PUBG is basically just a bunch of assets thrown into a blender, so, you know.
No, you would make the assets in Blender.
Moving on. Speaking of censorship...
Oh boy.
Oh boy, let's go.
Here's the one... Oh boy.
Go on.
Steam.
Censorship.
Steam.
Okay, so Steam seems to be quietly changing their policies regarding allowing developers to link to uncensored patches. So
for like pornographic games.
Yeah, so games like So if because more and more recently people have been developers from Eastern countries and stuff have been putting up not safe for work games or hentai games or however you want to phrase them onto Steam, but they are completely censored and clean versions of that game until you go and download the uncensored patch, which will go and
which is hosted on a separate website, like their own website or whatever.
Sure, but the problem is if you go to the discussion groups, they had like developer sanctioned things where they had a developer thread that linked to the stuff and had information. And if you had problems with the patch, you would troubleshoot it through the discussion board. They want to cut that out. And so what they're planning on what a lot of people are going to have to do is put more clear information on their own websites and totally host it and don't even mention it on the Steam pages anymore. And then you'll just have to kind of rely on Steam reviewers and other people to be like, hey, there's a patch over here, and it just can't be the
that
developer.
Doesn't surprise. Well, here's the thing. I mean, I do feel like developers could easily rely on Steam reviewers for that. Yeah, I feel like people would do that.
Yeah, I don't think this will be that big of a deal.
Because I remember a couple years ago, Steam made a statement that they didn't really care if they were not safe for work games on their platform. They just didn't actively
That was Gabe Newell's personal reaction to it in an AMA thread, but that is not necessarily the
Steam as a whole.
Steam as a whole's decision. And a lot of this probably has to do with, like, in certain companies they don't want to get, or in certain countries they don't want to get in legal trouble. That being said, it does not seem like this practice will go away.
Right.
But, you know, it'll probably be a little bit less transparent about it.
Right.
So you might have to work a little bit harder to figure out which games are uncensored or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. There's likely people are speculating that there's likely to be a decline in censored games, but I sort of disagree. I think at this point it seems like we're going more and more of the direction of that being more and more accepted.
Yeah, nobody really has ever complained about it except for, like, House Party. But that was because House Party did not come with an uncensored patch. House Party was just practically a porn game just sitting there on Steam with no patch or anything. And all they did when they changed it was make it censored and add a patch.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like
House Party's
and I think they updated the front page description quite a bit too.
Oh, okay.
So I think a lot of it has to do with the storefront side of it.
Right.
But I think that, like, these developers are already seeing that these are making a lot of money when they're put on Steam. So I think that even if they have to jump through a couple hoops to give people the uncensored patches, I don't think that this is going to go away. So they just probably won't have developer hosted threads about it as much.
Well,
but this seems to be a quiet thing. No one really knows. There's no official statement from Steam, so we don't really. This is kind of all still in a gray area where no one really knows what's going on because Steam doesn't like to talk about that stuff. But if they talked about it, they might be forced to take a position that might be worse for people who like these games. So I don't know.
It's probably why they don't like to talk about it, because they don't want to be forced to do that.
Right, because they can see that this makes money.
It makes a lot of money for the developers, therefore it makes a lot of money for them.
Yeah. So, you know, that's happening.
Yeah.
The next major thing is there's a show in Paris where Sony released and made a bunch of announcements and had a bunch of new footage from games.
Oh boy, tell us about that, Saine. I don't know anything about it, so
Sony Paris announcements. Can't spell today. Announcements. There. Okay. Okay, so some of the big highlights. There's a game called Ghost of Tsushima, which is a Sucker Punch's new Japanese setting open world game.
Neat.
Sucker Punch is the developers of that Thievius Raccoonus game. What's it called? Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper developers.
How did you remember the words Thievius Raccoonus?
I don't know, because their marketing was that good at the time. I don't know. Although I guess it can't be that good if I forgot the name of the title.
Yeah, you know.
I don't know. I remember it was about a thief raccoon, okay? So Sly Cooper's Sucker Punch is
thief raccoon
coming out with Ghost of Tsushima, which seems to be kind of a interesting thing.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's not a whole lot of information on it, so. Another major title, Spelunky 2.
Ooh.
That was an interesting and kind of out of the blue thing. Right now, there just seems to be a kind of a teaser trailer for it, so there's not really a lot to go on, but I think that's pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Guacamelee 2.
Oh boy, more memes than last time.
More memes than
this
last
time with more topical memes that won't be topical by the time Guacamelee 3 comes out.
Yeah.
Guacamelee 2 announced at Sony. Unwilling to say whether or not it's coming to other consoles, which probably means it is.
Yeah.
Uh,
Coming exclusively to Microsoft Xbox and PC. And also Sony Xbox.
And also the Sony Xbox.
And also our Sony Xbox. And everything's switched.
Resident Evil 7 announced new free DLC called Not a Hero DLC. Maybe don't look at that if you haven't beaten Resident Evil, because I've been told that it includes spoilers.
Oh
But
boy.
free DLC, so
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm all
a lot
for free
of
DLC.
yeah, all about free DLC.
Like we've talked about that. I've talked about this a lot. My biggest problem with DLC is I have to pay for it. Like I don't have a problem with like I'll
My
buy Game of
problem
the
is
Year.
not even that you have to pay for it. It's that when it's, I don't know, when they create content that is takes
That
away
should
from
be
the
with
game.
the
Yeah,
extra,
like
yeah.
I don't know. It's less about paying for it and more about how they set it up in the first place. But but we've talked about that at length, so we will move on.
A million times.
Yes.
Oh, wait, we'll go again.
There's been more footage of Shadow of the Colossus for PS4. Been more footage of The Last of Us Part 2. And there's been more footage of...
Shadow of the Colossus for PS4 is just a remake, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure it looks incredible.
But on the PS4 Pro, it runs at 60. So that's a thing that is new. Because it used to run at 30.
Yeah.
And a new Spider-Man footage as well. Story trailer. It seems like
Do you play as Miles Morales?
They do not show you playing as Miles Morales, but it did interestingly show Miles Morales taking a more major role in the story, which is weird because it makes it even more nebulous when this takes place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which means it probably takes place in a completely different universe that is totally unconnected from all the other stuff, because Miles Morales, the only point in time where they coexist is after the Convergence, where a lot of the side, like the Ultimate Universe gets merged with the primary universe. So I don't know, like it, but the stuff that they're talking about happens kind of in the past, so it's hard to pin down where this happens.
It's a weird sort of deal.
It'll either take place in what is considered modern Marvel point of time, or it'll take place in an alternate universe where doesn't matter. It's fuzzy.
Right.
Sony has also recommitted a lot of stuff to VR, and they announced like several new PlayStation VR titles, which is good because there's been a lot of speculation that they've been dropping the ball on the PSVR stuff, because it kind of got quiet there for a little bit. But they're at least like eight new VR titles.
Good.
So
that is good.
Final Fantasy 15 got another DLC trailer, which means they're continuing to create more and more content for that Final Fantasy game, which is good because that's like a huge game. And
you know why else it's good? The other reason that Final Fantasy 14?
15.
That's the Carboys one, right?
Yes.
That's good. Because the director, whatever Final Fantasy man, the dude who likes to draw belts, whatever, he said that he intends to have it localized to PC, but the PC version will be the definitive edition once everything is finished. All of the DLC, all of the...
I remember reading the same article, and it was more speculative than that. He said he was doing experiments with the PlayStation, and that if he were to do that, he would like to make it a definitive edition. Yeah. But I think that all of that was still like up in the air.
Bring me Final Fantasy 15.
I also heard something that like the PC version might be over 100 gigs. Fuck.
Down the line, I might end up buying a PS4.
Bring me a 10 terabyte hard drive.
You should get a bigger hard drive anyway. Also, stop clapping.
Okay.
Really annoying on the ears here.
Make Dalsson stop clapping.
Anyway.
Other than that, that's some of the biggest thing. Here, let me look at this. There might be. It's really laggy. Yeah, Guacamelee 2. Yeah, I don't know. That's about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the notable VR titles is remember The Heist, which was one of the pack-in VR titles. You probably don't remember, but that was one of the like pack-in titles with their kind of demos. They're making a fully like actual long game that like is kind of about the mobster sort of genre.
Oh, all right.
Another one they're doing actually is a hero shooter in VR. Just so funny. That's called Megalith. It's a colorful team-based shooter in virtual reality, piloting creatures called Titans.
Gee, Diva, ready to engage.
Well, that doesn't sound new or interest. That I've never heard of something.
Yeah, but VR. Like all of these are gonna be kind of generic, but like
Yeah.
it's gonna take a little while for people to actually get that innovative with some of the stuff they do, because they're right now they're fixing a lot of basic problems, like how do you walk and shoot at the same time? Like, because that makes people sick currently.
Yeah.
So they're figuring that out.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, there's a lot of like basic gaming issues they're fixing. So
yeah.
So before we get into the Night of the Woods things, I want to talk about one more kind of sort of major story, and this is one that's been developing over a while. Okay. The UK response to the petition to adapt gambling laws to include video games. This was about the loot boxes thing.
Yeah.
It is of the opinion of the UK Parliament that PEGI, as their gaming organization, has already been monitoring this, and they do not feel that they really need to take any future actions on this, because from their perspective, they do not believe that buying in-game items, even on a random basis, is considered gambling, because you cannot pull those out for real money.
You cannot get real life returns for it.
Right.
Exactly.
That is that is a distinction between the issues they were having with TF2 and Counter-Strike because of that gambling thing that they did in the UK. Well, they did it everywhere, but they got in trouble for it in the UK primarily. Yeah. I think there were two like major YouTubers who both owned the service, and like it was gambling to children, so they got in trouble for that, but mostly they came out with a slap on the wrist for it, because a lot of this was a new territory, like new kind of situation anyway.
Yeah.
But this they say like virtual currency and whatever, that because it can't be cashed out for real money, they don't believe that it is considered gambling. And the PEGI organization already kind of talks about artificial or like simulated gambling anyway. So from their perspective, they don't care.
Right.
I think this is both.
If PEGI doesn't care about it, then I don't think anybody's going to care.
Yeah, because ESRB already was even more directly saying that this is not something that they're going to monitor.
I think we talked about that even.
We did.
Yeah, like most of the like for example, the Pokemon Game Corner, the fact that even exists in the game is taken out by PEGI. Like, PEGI is the reason that there's no Game Corner in Pokemon now. Like, if they don't consider this gambling, nobody in the world is going to, because they're the most strict about it.
So actually, they do restrict gambling, but it's PEGI 12 is the cutoff for it, which is not
right.
I think it's teen, right? That would be the equivalent to teen, for simulated gambling. And Pokemon wanted to be E, because they wanted everyone to play it. But so I don't know, like.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like,
well, I mean, even above PEGI, the organization, the UK Parliament is like, no, we don't consider this gambling, and PEGI is doing their job. Is essentially what they said. I'm not one of those people who is very strongly in support of this being regulated like gambling.
Mhm.
And maybe this is just kind of like a free market bent of it from my personal points of view, but like I think that if the government got too involved in something like this, then it would cause more problems than
Yeah.
we're seeing now. Like it would cause issues where you would have to deal with censorship and getting around loopholes and all sorts of stuff. Right now, I think what is the better situation is that players and consumers are starting to turn on loot boxes and rebel against this kind of fake gambling.
Yeah.
That's the ideal scenario where people are like looking
If
at
the
this and
government
going,
tries
"This
to
is
regulate
gross."
it, they'll try to find a way around it. But if people don't want to buy it and give them money with it,
Right.
then they're just going to drop it.
Yeah.
Or they'll have to figure out a way to make the loot boxes so unegregious that they don't have to worry about people turning on them. Because I don't think the problem is loot boxes
Themselves.
as a whole,
it's more
themselves.
like-
It is implementation, how they
yeah, exactly.
how they
Because like
make
Overwatch
it
has loot
affect
boxes
the
and
rest
they're
of the game.
fine.
Nobody's ever really said anything about it. Nobody's ever really cared.
Well, the thing
Well, they
that
care
people
now.
say
I
about
think in
Overwatch is loot
retrospect,
boxes. Yeah.
in
the thing-
retrospect, people are talking more and more about Overwatch's loot boxes, but it's only because of stuff like Star Wars Battlefront and
Yeah,
and,
doing all of this bad shit.
Shadow of War.
Yeah.
Those are the games that are really making people like sick to their stomachs about it. So-
Yeah, and it's like, and it's more of a just this is what loot boxes have done to us. This is like Overwatch set a standard for loot boxes that was just loot boxes, and Overwatch's thing was doing it fine, but like people are going to try and get that
Milk
money.
it as much as they can.
Yeah, just these horrible people and try to milk.
Right. So also, okay, I read this story, but I actually forgot to link it to
Did
you
you?
guys. But I just kind of remember this because of the EA thing.
Okay.
So remember how we were talking about how EA closed Visceral Studios?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the games that Visceral Studios had been working on behind the scenes was a new Star Wars game. That was primarily like single player based.
Weird.
And the reason why the EA was having issues with Visceral was not necessarily just because they don't like single player games. It is true that right now EA is pretty much not interested in single player games at all. But that's not entirely the reason why they wanted to close Visceral Studios. A lot of it had to do with creative differences, and in terms of the tone of this game, because it seemed like this game was ending up a little bit more
Dark.
more like Rogue One than like the new Star Wars stuff. Like
Weird.
it wasn't as like bright and colorful and Star Warsy as EA wanted.
And honestly, though, the aesthetic was my favorite part about Rogue One. That was
Right.
the thing I liked about
And
it.
actually a lot of people liked that, but
Yeah.
EA, from EA's perspective, it wasn't like, I don't know, space opera-y
Wars.
enough.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, there was a lot of trouble from Visceral's end implementing a monetary system similar to FIFA's. And that was a major contributing factor for why they closed Visceral Studios, because this Star Wars game that they were producing, they were having trouble to finding a monetary system similar enough to FIFA's team system, which is lauded as basically everyone's least favorite version of any of this monetization stuff.
That is the shittiest thing I can possibly think of.
So I feel like Visceral Studios, like this is a lot of like speculation, and this is like this is an interview from someone who was on Visceral's team, so it's hard to like really know, but it definitely seems like Visceral got in trouble because they didn't really want to compromise the ethics of how they implemented monetary systems in the game.
Oof.
Because
you know what's funny?
What?
EA recently, before this a little bit, before the whole loot box thing, before the whole monetization thing, I feel like EA was kind of flying under the radar. They were letting Ubisoft take a lot of the flack. But now that this stuff has come in, then
I
they can be
feel
as
like-
good as they want.
Yeah, I feel
They
like
can bust back into the
EA
spotlight.
has was actually making good strides for a while. Like they were becoming less and less hated.
Yeah, they were making good strides. Not good games, but good strides.
Well, they were making decent games. I mean, the Battlefield series people like. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I
you
don't
know,
know.
the Battlefield
There
series.
are games that
I feel like Battlefield can be more attributed to DICE than
Mhm.
EA.
well, DICE is EA Studio.
Yeah, the EA is their publisher. Yeah, yeah. They weren't.
And then the
really-
Tomb Raider
yeah.
ones, I think, or was that also
Yeah,
Ubisoft?
are they? Or are
I
those
don't think
Ubisoft?
so. I think those are Ubisoft.
No, I don't think they're Ubisoft, but I think they might be something else.
There's something. But yeah, EA was doing just general not they were doing regular greedy shit that everyone else was doing. So
Tomb Raider was Square Enix.
oh okay.
So my bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they were doing fine until this whole loot box thing happened, and then they decided, oh boy,
They
we're
were
just
like,
gonna fuck that
oh
up.
shit. We could add an entire another wing to the money castle.
With they just all looked at these. You see that Overwatch loot box shit? I have a great idea. You know how people fucking hated us for everything? Let's do that shit again, guys.
What if we made it really shitty?
What if we're just the fucking worst? Let's just take it.
Also, the Mass Effect games,
Oh yeah, well yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda
which got
was
progressively worse, but
yeah. Oh yeah. Mass Effect Andromeda, like I feel like it was this year. It was a bad year for EA.
yep.
The collector's edition with game not included for Mass Effect Andromeda was
Oh yeah, that was, oh god.
Prime shit. People bought that. There's someone looked at Mass Effect Andromeda and was like, yes, I want to buy the fucking collector's edition with this.
And then I also
In defense,
want to buy the game
of the collector's edition,
Mhm.
it allows people to buy any version of the game with the collector's edition, so they don't have to make like 5 PlayStation collector's edition, 5 Xbox collector's edition, 5 Switch collector's editions. It lets
Yeah.
you choose what the collector's
Wow.
edition and just get the game separately. Or
I
digitally if
guess,
you
but
want.
it was basically the same price as the collector's edition that included the game.
Well, and also
It was like $200 for the collector's edition.
I mean, the
also-
collector's edition is arbitrary how much it costs, kind of.
yeah, basically. Also another
Really,
thing
that what you're buying is like the statues and the little fancy shit in it.
Yeah.
That's what you're buying.
and the nice metal steel case that the game comes in is completely empty.
Yeah, so that you can put whichever version you want into that fancy case. I don't know. Like, I get it. I know that people were upset about it, but if it's a non-exclusive game, was it exclusive? No, it was non-exclusive.
Well, here's the thing. My problem with it isn't so like when I said people bought this. My problem wasn't necessarily that they it didn't ship out the game. It's that there's someone out there who looked at Mass Effect Andromeda and thought, yes, I want the collector's edition for that game. This is a good
And then they
idea.
played it and was like,
Smart
"Aw."
financial.
and then
They didn't even need to play it
And-
like all. It was
no.
everywhere before it was like even shipped out. Like, wow, this game has so many fucking bugs in all of the gameplay, everything.
That
Like,
reminds
this-
me of another story, another news story that
Boy,
did I forget to link it? Yeah, no, I actually did link it.
Okay.
So, and this goes back to the thread about corporate villainy,
uh-huh.
but in reverse this time.
Oh boy.
Bethesda seems to have quietly changed their game review policies and sending out review copies early to reviewers for the last few titles. There's speculation that the review policy was because it was hurting their game sales.
This is the fucking Rotten Tomatoes thing all over again. This is straight up the same thing.
Wait,
Well-
they thought that they didn't want they were not sending out review copies because it was hurting their game sales, but they decided to start sending out review copies again? Is that what that
No. The speculation is that they have not been sending out review copies early to reviewers so that they can review it on time. And because there weren't more early reviews, it hurt their sales. So they're being
So it was
punished.
the opposite.
They're being punished for not sending out review copies.
Good. Good.
Notable examples that did critically well but did not
Sell super good.
did not have sell very well or send out future copies. There was Dishonored, reviewed pretty well, did not have early copies. There was a few of them. I'm having trouble thinking of them off the top of my head, but
Wolfenstein, Doom.
Doom did not. Doom actually was what caused this.
Oh.
Doom was the first one, because if you remember, Doom did not have a review. It was like day of embargo.
Oh yeah, no,
and then it came out and got critically acclaimed, and everybody loved it, and it sold like crazy.
Yeah, I do remember that because here's the thing. I remember like being really, really disappointed when Doom came out, and I was like, oh no, it's gonna be bad. I played the multiplayer part, and it was fucking terrible. And then like the actual game comes out, and everyone loves it.
Be crazy well, yeah.
So because Doom got away with it, they thought they could do it with all of their games.
Yeah.
Is that what you?
Yeah, that's essentially what happened back then. And this was only like a year ago.
But I swear, I could have sworn they sent out review copies for Doom, because I remember before Doom came out, they had early gameplay.
They had
and people were like shitting on.
They did not. They had a multiplayer beta, but that's not the same thing as early review copies. Like, we're talking about giving reviewers the game early so that they can come up with their critical opinion and release it.
But I remember people shitting on it like before the game came out because of
what I think it
like
was
a dude running through a level, and they were like, this Doom game has upgrades.
That was just from the trailer.
Huh,
like all this. I promise you, I 100% know this for a fact. They did not send review copies out for Doom, and because of that, they used they used Doom as an example for why they justified not sending review copies out for any games in the future.
Yeah. Like Wolfenstein, for instance.
They put out a actually, Wolfenstein is one of the first games to be sent out the early review copies. This is actually one of the games that people noticed that they're starting to get early review copies for again.
All right.
Because I think this one and the game that came out right before it from Bethesda, which I don't remember off the top of my head.
Prey?
Yeah, Prey, I think, also had review copies sent out.
Oh, okay.
Bethesda games. I'm sorry, can you hear my dogs barking?
No, actually.
Oh, no, okay. Yeah, they were being loud. The Evil... Okay, actually, Prey wasn't. Evil Within was, I think.
Oh, right, yeah.
So Evil Within and Wolfenstein were had review copies sent out, but I think what did I just say? Yeah, I think Prey did not.
Yeah.
And it hurt Prey's sales and it hurt Dishonored sales to not do that.
Yeah.
So I think what this kind of says going forward is back to the old standard of if they have day of embargoes, it's probably bad. Occasionally it won't be, like Doom, but you can kind of expect it to be bad if it's day of reviews.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, yeah, if your game review is bad, make a fucking better game.
Yeah.
Don't
and
shit.
I think part of it has
I
to
don't
do...
know.
I think part of it has to do with game I guess gamers being a little bit more savvy with stuff like reviews and news coverage and stuff leading into a game. It's like, yeah, the major titles are going to like sell it crazy.
No matter what.
The FIFA, Madden, Star Wars or whatever, that's always going to sell it crazy because en masse, like, it's just going to. But I think in terms of word of mouth and stuff and like that sort of thing, and even like I think people look for game review coverage maybe a little bit more than like movie coverage, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that well, it's kind of a bigger investment for sure. So
and like people go to YouTube and look up all of these like gamer YouTuber channels, like people aren't looking up like specific like movie critics from like the New York Times or whatever unless they're really into movies, but like someone's just casually watching YouTube, they're gonna watch like maybe this guy's review because they just like the guy. So yeah, and that might influence.
Although I do think that a lot of that does have to do with YouTube because even I think movie reviewers who review primarily on YouTube also still get a lot of that built-in base in a different way than columnists, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of an interesting thing. But that's all I wanted to say on that matter. That it's kind of funny that this is biting Bethesda in the ass, and maybe this will lead other developers not to do that shit in the future because, like, it seems to have had a tangible effect on game sales.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right.
That's the speculation.
Yeah.
Because why else would Bethesda reverse this decision?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last thing that we have for today is Night in the Woods.
Night
Alright.
in the Woods. Probably my favorite game for a long time. I can't think of one that I like better, but I mean, there might be one. It doesn't come to mind. Which is honestly barely a game. It is a game. It's more of a story in a game framework, but
I think it's about as much of a game as something like the Telltale games.
yeah, okay.
And it is a puzzle game because there is like you can't
there are
progress
puzzles.
unless you figure out stuff.
Yeah.
Or where
Yeah,
to
and there
go
are,
and
like,
everything.
But you cannot fail.
Yeah.
No matter what. Even in the mini games.
But it has
like,
an implied failure state of not knowing what to do next.
Yes.
So I think that it still counts as a game.
Yeah.
True.
And that's the same thing with the Telltale games.
But
It's like,
in
you can
any
die.
case, it is a fantastic game. And I have been, like, sitting here crossing my fingers and praying for a sequel or something. And they've just announced that on December 16th, they will be issuing I believe the best term is director's cut. It's not the term that the devs used, but it's the term that everybody else is using.
Yeah.
Which will add a lot of cut content, like stuff for the character Germ, who was implied to be a major character, and we already know because of the game files that there was a lot of cut content with him, but there's nothing in the game, not a lot in the game with him.
God, our audio is so bad. You're like roboting super hardcore.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's bad.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix
Feel
that.
it.
But that's okay. We're about to wrap up.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. In my discussion topic, I put Night in the Woods EX Ultra Super. That's what I'm calling it.
Yeah,
That's
alright,
pretty. That's like almost exactly what Thel called it before we started talking. He was like Night in the Woods Disc Gaia Ultimate Chain of Memories.
Yeah.
Like I don't fucking even know what he said, but that's pretty much
Night
what
in
it
the
is.
Woods 2.1 Donald's Attack.
Yeah, basically they're releasing a director's cut.
Yeah.
They're from the trailer alone, we can assume that there's going to be at least one new song, like Guitar Hero segment, which are in the games. Where, as far as the trailer looks, May is like in one of her astral dreams. That's what they're called as far as the game is concerned. One of her dreams, maybe, and she's playing guitar. Or bass. She's playing the bass.
Yeah.
She's not playing guitar. It's like you're playing player 2 in Guitar Hero multiplayer.
Yeah.
And there will be, and I quote, new crimes. So you and there's more segments with Greg in them. The trailer did not advertise any new Beatrice content. Which is probably just, I mean, why even play it at that point?
Yeah, fuck that.
No, that's not true. Greg is fantastic, and I love him.
Okay.
But, they also showed off Adina Astra, which was a character from a side story, which is like a folk tale in Night in the Woods, which they have a separate free game on their website. Which is, I believe it's called, do you know what it's called?
I don't remember.
I forget what it's called, but they have a free game in their website, which basically follows the story of an alligator named Adina Astra, who dies.
Yeah.
Or something. They showed her in Night in the Woods, which they just added that game into it. Like, there's a segment where it kind of tells you a little bit of the story about her. In Night in the Woods, maybe they added that segment to the game, like the gameplay segment. It looks really good.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited. I've been looking desperately for an excuse to replay Night in the Woods, and this will be it. Again. Because
Except for this week, right?
except
Yeah,
for
that's
this
what we're
week.
saying.
Yeah, shall we
go
move
ahead.
into
Yeah,
plugs?
Yeah,
we're
that
gonna
was the
plug.
last piece of news, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Thel and I
Yeah.
intend to, for my stream this week, since obviously it's going to be a little bit messed up, for my stream this week at nighttime, Halloween is the week that Night in the Woods takes place. Now, if we want to do one day per day, we would have started
A couple
days ago.
But
So tonight maybe starting at, what do you think, 9 or 10?
fuck, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, now about 9 or 10. I haven't really decided yet, which I'll keep posted on Twitter.
As of the live recording,
of the live recording
we'll
tonight,
also upload
October
them
30th.
onto YouTube
Yes.
and on a weekly
That
basis.
is a
following.
point.
Yeah.
This will be going on to YouTube. We'll probably be uploading one segment a week. Thel and I intend to, as you can see, we're wearing our
Yeah.
Beatrice Santello and May Borowski t-shirts.
Oh,
here
that's
that we-
funny. I didn't even realize that's what Thel
You didn't
was.
even
I
notice
just,
that?
I just,
Well, okay.
no, I saw he was wearing an Ankh, but I was just like, oh, that seems like something Thel
No,
would
yeah,
wear.
that's
Yeah,
that's
alright.
Beatrice's May's shirt.
Yeah.
I totally like now that you mention it, yeah, but I totally
we
didn't
went
think about
all over town looking for an orange t-shirt to Sharpie on, and we finally found it for like $2 at a thrift store. It was
I mean,
great.
It worked.
it. Nice.
But but yeah, we're going to be
Does that mean you're
playing
both
Night in the Woods
cross-dressing
and
right
kind
now?
of reading separate. I'm sorry?
Yeah. Well. Yeah. You know. It's if you want it to be cross-dressing, it can be cross-dressing as much as you want.
I mean, kind of. Yeah.
We'll leave that.
If you would like, I mean, maybe I'll shave in that.
Okay, maybe
time,
that was
I
a
don't
bad
know.
joke. Let's move on.
we're leaving it ambiguous.
It's an ambiguous thing. Now, the point is,
All right.
we'll be playing through the game and reading the lines. We're probably going to have to delegate characters before the stream starts.
Yeah.
Both of us have played it at least twice. I've played it at least
I think I've only played it twice. I did B and Greg's route, and that was it.
25 times.
Yeah.
And
I
so
played it one half time.
what you should play it,
You
or maybe
played-
tune into
Well, I
this.
probably can't this week.
Yeah.
Probably gonna have to wait until. You know what I'll do? I'll finish it up before next week, and then
Yeah.
I'll watch the YouTube VODs as they go up.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That's my plan.
Okay. You went on Greg's route when you were playing, right? Same.
I bounced back and forth. I've not stayed consistent with any one route. No.
You right. Well,
okay.
you only know at the end of the game whose route you go on, really. So,
Yeah.
Okay, well, fine.
but that's the plug. Do we have it? I don't think we really have any other planned out upcoming.
Yeah,
content.
I don't know.
I'm going to make a Wolfenstein video at some point.
Definitely for this week. I probably won't be streaming in the morning, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
If you really enjoy my morning streams, I probably won't be streaming in the morning because me and Thel are gonna stay up and party all night.
Yeah.
And I will try to get the stuff up, the podcast
On
up
time?
on time for once.
Oh boy.
Okay.
I was only
Late 2
like
weeks in a row.
12 hours late this last week.
Oh well, yeah. You did. You
better
were
than
you were,
24.
Yeah, you were. It was like really
it
almost
was like
negligible
3 days
last
the
time, yeah.
the previous week, but
Yeah, the previous one. Yeah, the previous one there was like a lot of time,
the
but this
previous
time
week it was like, oh shit, it's Friday.
Yeah.
Then last week it was like, oh wait, today's Wednesday. It should be up now.
Yeah.
And then I did it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah,
I'll
I feel like that one's more negligible. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
it ended up going up after midnight, but I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I'll make a point, put it up on time.
Also, I would like to.
if
thank
you're
all
already
of-
watching this, you can decide how I've done.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to thank all of our fans for getting us up to 10,000 views.
Yes!
Thanks, guys.
We
did
are
it.
at 10,000 views on YouTube, which means, for me personally, we are going to create an actual URL, and I will be having our YouTube URL in our stream, which might just make it a little better.
Yeah.
A huge milestone for us.
Yeah, we did. This
It
is
really
this is what
is.
we
We
were kind
also-
of aiming.
we've
for.
We're
also
also
hit
at 140 subscribers now too.
We are almost to 200 subscribers. We just hit 100 like a couple of weeks ago, within the month, and we're already almost halfway there.
I mean, it sounds like it's not a big deal, but it's
it's
great
a big deal to
us. And
us. Yeah.
if you actually watch if you're one of our subscribers and you actually watch the podcast VODs, thank you.
My thing says
Seriously.
we're at 9,950 views. Not
9,950 views on the Hollow Knight video alone. The
No.
rest of them are made up by the rest of the videos.
No, I'm looking at the total right here.
Oh.
Oh, really?
We are 50
Yeah,
short.
I
Okay.
looked at it. I looked at it earlier today. We're definitely eligible for monetization and a custom URL.
Okay, well,
So
maybe it just takes a second to update that particular number that I'm looking at.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me because it's,
Anyway,
I think that's about it for plugs and thank yous.
Yeah.
well,
So-
here's another thank you. Thank you for joining us this week. We will be
Yeah.
back next week. Hopefully, actually, like in our right spots, and I might have to redraw some of the overlays again, but we'll come to that bridge when we cross. You're gonna be back next week, right? Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just double
Wait,
check.
on Monday? I might be on a train on Monday. It might be tough. We might not do it next week.
Oh,
Or maybe it'll just be these two.
that's
I
a
don't know.
point. Yeah,
Yeah. We'll
We-
figure it
we'll
out.
figure it out. Maybe we'll do it on Tuesday or something.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Which would just need faster editing for the YouTube bod.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's fine. I
I
can do
feel
it
like
someday.
right now for the podcast, YouTube is our main audience. So
Yeah.
I can do it same day. I just haven't always. Anyway,
Right.
next. That's it. So please like, comment, subscribe, get us to that 200 subscribers. Follow us on Twitch. Anything else?
Remember to stay beautiful.
Does that every time. I tried to get him to stop. He won't.
You did not try to.
I tried to get him to stop.
Last time we joked about how he had to stay beautiful for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.